is a war-fighting domain, just like the land, the air, and sea. We have the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Space Force. My new national strategy could be Space Force, 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 Space Force. We're doing a tremendous amount of work in space. I said maybe we need a new force. We'll call it the Space Force. And I was not really serious. And then I said, what a great idea. Tremendous. Space Force, 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 Space Force. We say that you can use hairspray because hairspray is going to affect the ozone. They say it. I say no way. My apartment is all sealed. You're telling me that affects the ozone layer. I want to put a little spray. Space Force, Space Force, Space
People are crazy. They can't tell what's going on. They don't want to ask the right questions, so they ask wrong questions and therefore get crazy answers.
That's true.
Friends, we have enough humans on the planet. We don't need any more humans. It is not okay for women to have babies.
It's not okay to have kids. The time's come to get rid of all the sheeple. There's too many people. There's 7.5 billion of us. That's 7 billion too much. Abortion.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Tell me how this sounds.
Hello. Dun, 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 dun. It sounds just like the beginning of Madness. Do you know Madness? Hold on a second. That was so good. Hold on. Let me find it. Where's the band Madness? Here we are. Is it this one? No. What the hell was the name of that song? Oh, what fun we had. The fuck was the name of that song?
I don't know. I never heard of this song.
That's not it. That's tripping me out now.
And
Baggy Trousers, that's what it was, yes.
Oh, yeah. Comes right, yeah.
Thanks, Rain Trees. Okay, make that sound again. Did you hear it? It was a little low.
No, because I was making too much noise. What?
Yeah.
Sorry again.
I know it's obscure, but it was exactly the sound you made.
Huh.
Do it again?
Play a little bit of that song.
And it keeps coming back. The ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Yeah, it's a cowbell.
All right, go again. Do it again.
Naughty boys in nasty schools, headmasters breaking all the rules, having fun and playing fools, smashing up the window bowls. All the teachers in the pub, passing man a ready rub, trying not to think of when the lunchtime bell will ring again.
Oh, what fun we had.
But did it really turn out bad? All I learned at school was how to set not break the rules. Oh, what fun we had, but at the time it seemed so bad, trying desperate ways
Listen up.
Again, all the small ones tell two tales, walking home and squashing snails. Oh, what fun we had! But did it really turn out bad? All I learned at school was how to bend and break the rule. Oh, what fun we
Yes, it's music from my day, from back in the day. It's my music, man. Ska.
It is kind of ska.
Yeah, remember the Selector?
Oh, yeah.
No, you don't. You just
Was
say
it the Selectors?
No, I think it was the Selector.
That was the Selectors.
Well, let me check. No, it's the Selector. Here we go. This song is so old, they're talking about radio. What the fuck?
I bought my baby
On my radio?
He played it that day. I go. He liked to dance to it down in the streets. He said he loved me, but he loved the beat.
Love it when a bunch of pale, pasty white Brits are sounding like Jamaicans.
But when I switch on,
I think the girl was Jamaican.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yes.
That lady!
Indeed.
That
The good old days.
Valkyrie!
it's the lower generation
That's right. Valkyrie's on the rise, and that means it is time for you to acknowledge the bat signal. Retweet that tweet, boost the toot. We've got episode 1204, the first of 2020, coming up next. Come on, people, retweet. You're not retweeting, lazy bastards. Yes, nailed it. Big time nailed. Yes, let's test the levels. Hello,
Adam
1, 2,
Curry.
3, 4. Testing is complete. That's good. That's how pros do it, ladies and gentlemen. There's no amateur out here.
Pros from Dover.
Pros from Dover.
I did this donation back in November for my husband, David Winchester. Is that good?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm very happy. Happy for
in a
David
sound
Winchester.
check.
I know what you were doing. I got you.
I'm happy for David. All right.
Okay, hold on. All right.
Hit it.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, January 2nd, 2020. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1204.
This is No Agenda.
Celebrating the Chinese New Year and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm on the lookout for tumbleweeds, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill.
In the morning.
Happy New Year! There we go. Ah, yes. There
So
we
we
are.
got a bunch of these little streamers you blow on, you get that sound.
Yeah.
Jay bought a pack.
Yeah.
They're all from China,
Of course.
but they all sound like this. They're all pathetic. Just the Chinese trying to undermine the country.
Well, once again,
They used to have a joyous sound when I was a kid.
we rang in the new year 2020 in New York. And as always, we, as the commercial giants that we are, once again, for the second year running, sold New Year's Eve to China. Did you see it?
I didn't watch that, no.
Oh, the big New Year's Eve show. It's so much fun every year to welcome the dignitaries from China onto the stage in New York, Times Square, with their red scarves.
Joining me now is Lili, the Executive Vice President of the Sino-American Friendship Association, a prestigious, independent, nonprofit organization that promotes business, culture, and educational activities.
We are very happy to be here for the 9th year in a row to celebrate
9th year in a row, second year televised.
with everyone in Times Square and the people around the world. We wish everyone a very happy new year and a good luck in 2020.
And a gulag in 2020. She said it right
gulag.
there. A gulag.
And of course, we are so glad that you're back here with us. You got some friends. We would love to meet your guests.
Yes.
First,
Oh, did you notice that? She did a sure. That's cool. It's propagated to China.
That you're back here
She can
with us.
barely speak English, but she can say sure.
You brought some friends. We would love to meet your guests.
sure. First, I would love to welcome our co-hosting organizer for tonight's opening ceremony, Peter Zhang, the president of the Sino-American Friendship Association. Welcome.
Friendship.
And our tonight's special honorable guests are Ambassador Huang Ping, Consul General of the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in New York.
And let's talk to the ambassador to see what his vision is. What good things do we have in store?
And now, I would like to invite Ambassador Huang Ping to share his greetings with Times Square and the world.
Dear friends, we welcome you to visit China in 2020.
Okay.
You will find our country both modern and ancient, with incredible landscapes and friendly people. So join the millions of the people who have have already discovered its wonders.
In jail.
China welcomes you with open arms.
In jail.
Happy New Year and 新年快乐!
新年快!
Thank you, Ambassador, for that wonderful message. We love that.
Oh, yes, we love it so much, especially in New York. Oh, let's do a quick little interview.
Well, we're so glad you joined us this year. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year's to you. Anybody back home you want to say Happy New Year's to?
Sure. Happy New Year to everybody. This is actually my second time to be here in Times Square to celebrate this countdown of New Year. New Year's coming, together with friends from all over the world. I'm so happy China played a part, and I greet everyone. I sincerely invite our friends to come to China to see this incredible landscapes and enjoy having a good experience.
If I come to China, can I stay at your house?
Of course, I would be very happy to be your host. And first of all,
No, wait. Don't step on it.
Having a good experience.
If I come to China, can I stay at your house?
Of course, I would be very happy to be your host. And first of all, I will issue you a very good visa.
Good visa. Not like other stupid tourists. They not get good visa. You get good visa. You not go to jail with good visa. There's something about this bothers me. This is New York. It's our American tradition. Dropping the ball. And there were so many people on stage. They all had to jump in and say something.
Great. Well, maybe I'll stay half with you and then half with you. Can I stay at your house also?
Of course, yeah. Thank you. Tonight is a very wonderful night.
And there was really someone weird in the background yelling stuff.
I look forward to meet all friends around the world in China. China is a very beautiful country. China, if you visit to China, it will be beyond the imagination. Thank you. Happy Chinese New Year. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for joining us in Times Square, and we hope you'll come back next year.
Yes.
Definitely, we'll be back next year.
Oh,
in the next 10 years.
10 years. Oh, yeah.
Into the camera. Happy New Year's on 3. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy New Year!
China. China is asshole.
What? What did he say? Couldn't resist. Did you hear him?
That was pathetic. What channel was that on?
I don't know. Producer Shane went through 6 hours of video to get these clips for us. And then, after the ball dropped, of course, nothing better than the Communist Manifesto. We had just talked about this song, too. Which is why a lot of people email me like, wow, they played that at New Year's Eve.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Imagine there's no countries, no borders.
It's easy if you try.
We're all the same. Nobody is different. It's beautiful.
No hell below us.
It was all New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Well, that's not rockin'.
No. Rockin' was CNN's coverage again. What is wrong with that channel? I mean, there's a lot wrong with it. But for some reason, they feel it's a good idea on New Year's Eve to go completely gay.
The station is gay. Hello.
Andy Cohen, who is not on CNN, but he is friends with Anderson Cooper. Andy Cohen produces, huge hits like
Ben Carr Zephyr, by the way.
Economy on the Up. He produces The Real Housewives. And so here they're just talking about something. And, it was still 10 o'clock.
She turned to Anderson and said, he's not going to ask me who has the biggest bleep of anyone I've ever been with, right?
No, it was... She turns to me out of the blue and goes, he's not going to ask me who has the biggest cock in Hollywood, is he?
Okay.
That's what she asked.
And just said it. Okay.
Since when is this okay on CNN?
What?
Yeah, who has the biggest cock in Hollywood?
Yeah, I know. I heard it.
Oh, I thought you were going to give us the answer.
I haven't. Well, you might know. You've been to Hollywood.
We all know it.
Lived there for a year.
We all know it's Billy Preston, the fifth Beatle. Everybody knows this.
Is that true?
Look it up. It's on the wiki. It's on the Wikipedia. And then
this is disgusting.
And then Don Lemon was in Nashville with Brooke Baldwin, who looks very different not behind the desk. And Don was hammered as usual. I didn't clip him singing, but I did get this.
God.
I get this. His. What's he gonna do for 2020? What are his resolutions?
I'm gonna lean
Did
in
you
harder.
see the video going around of Anderson Cooper taking a shot at tequila?
Yes, like a real man. I saw him down that thing. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna lean in harder.
Harder.
I'm gonna lean in harder.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna lean in harder. I'm sick of the craziness. So, if you thought I went hard in 2019, watch 2020, baby. There's more to come. I'm a soldier. I'm ready to fight.
I'm a fighter.
It's a big year.
It's a big year.
For a lot of
And
reasons.
I'm going to be more grateful, spend more time with my family.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But also lean into work harder.
in.
And
Lean
we
in
got to get
harder.
ready. It's an election
No,
year.
it's-
We're on the grind.
We are, but it truly is a privilege to do what we do,
Wait, stop.
and to all the people who say hello and thank you. Like,
Stop. Yeah, what?
Did he say what? Go back that up.
Uh-huh. What do you want to hear?
Well, he said he's going to go after Trump or
We'll
something.
spend more time with my family.
oh yeah.
But also lean into work harder, and we got to get ready. It's an election
No,
year.
it's-
We're on the grind.
We are, but it truly is a privilege to do what we do, and to all the people
She's
who
drunk,
say
too.
hello and
Yes.
thank you. Like it is an honor.
It is.
to sit in our seats and to have
It's such an honor, John, to sit in our seats here on the podcast. It's such a platform. It's so fabulous that we got to lean in.
the voice we have and the platform we
Have
have.
you ever had so many people come up to you and say thank you for what
I've
you
never
do?
been high five more on a plane in my
It's
life.
amazing, right?
Like it's awesome. So thank you so much.
It's awesome. Oh, my God. Lean in harder. Did anyone tell Don that that's a Sheryl Sandberg meme for women? Lean in.
And?
Yeah, right. So I just don't understand. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand. It's entertaining. I mean, we would
I don't
switch
think
back
they
and forth.
understand either, to be honest about it.
Oh. Yeah,
They really think they're the cat's ass.
I don't know if it's that or if they're so they're clearly tightly controlled on CNN. So maybe this is that it's like you got to let them out of the pen.
Not sure. You don't need to control people who are predisposed.
No, that's true.
That's the great thing about it.
That's true. Hey, we got another note from Sir Chris.
Yes.
The
place is burning down. He wants more stick.
Yeah, I'm going to read this to you. The rain stick propagation to southeastern New South Wales has not been too good. And while we did have a couple of unexpected droplets on New Year's Eve and a much-needed cool change, anything to help the burning has not made it above the background noise. Clearly, need more power and an antenna with more gain on a different band, free of QRM from the likes of Greta. Well, let's get it.
Well, we only have the one band. Everyone has to turn down their speakers except Australia.
Yes, otherwise you're going to get drenched. But I'm going to do a triple shake here because this is clearly calling
What do you call a triple shake? Are you flipping it 6 times?
No, I'm going 1, 2, 3. 1. So I'm flipping it 3 times. I flip 1, I flip 2, flip 3. I'm flipping it 3 times. Triple shake.
Well, then I'll back it off with a double.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
No.
Whoa! Jeez, man.
Got the stick.
That was almost catastrophic.
It could have been.
You ready?
Okay, let me wait.
All right, Australia.
Hold on, I got a grip spot I got to hold to. Okay, go.
Wait. Put your glasses on, man. Safety goggles. Yeah, safety goggles, of course. Ready?
1,
3. 1, 3. 3.
5.
1, 2, 3, go! 1, 2, 3. With an extra aftershake. There we go. Woohoo!
I don't know.
All right. That'll help. Guaranteed.
We'll see.
Guaranteed.
So here I'm in California, but in Washington State on the Highway 240, they had, and by the way, Eric's power was knocked out. It's a miracle he got the spreadsheet in.
Hey, John.
Because there's a massive windstorm.
Hey,
in
John,
Washington State,
let's just stop right now. You've been breaking up every 15 seconds.
I had a hunch that was going to happen.
Okay. So I'm just going to stop it.
Okay, let me see what we got here.
If you had the hunch,
Well, I had the hunch. I'm on the good network too. Well, let me switch.
Well, why would you have a hunch if you're on the good network?
Because the fat lady broke up.
Oh.
Let's see what we got here on this other side.
Yeah, Darren, believe me, I heard it. I heard three, and these are actually glitches. 3 audio glitches, and that usually means a big one's coming.
What?
No, I'm talking to the troll room. Let me see where we were. Let's just stop right now. You've been breaking up every 15 seconds.
I was knocked out. It's a miracle he got the spreadsheet in.
Hey, John?
Because there's a massive win. They had, and by the way, Eric's power was knocked out. It's a miracle he got.
So you hear that, Darren? Listen again. You can hear it right here.
40. They had what? And by the way, Eric's power seamless. Out. It's a miracle he got the spreadsheet in.
Hey, John, it's a miracle he got the spreadsheet in.
Seamless.
What?
I said seamless.
Yes, completely. So your last words were, it's a miracle he got the spreadsheet in because the power was down. And pick it up and go.
It's a miracle, I say. Anyway, what happened was this windstorm apparently pulled up, like, I don't know, 100,000 tumbleweeds from part of Washington.
What?
And blew them down Highway 240. Now, tumbleweeds are a common phenomenon in the desert areas, like in Reno.
Or Texas.
Texas has them.
Yeah.
And you see them tumbling along. It's a funny product, this thing. But apparently they don't have this area to tumble much in Washington, but they found this Highway 240. So they decided to come down Highway 240, like 10 feet high wave of tumbleweeds covered up a bunch of cars. They had to dig them out the next day.
No way. Oh, I'm looking at it now. Tumbleweed takeover. Oh, my goodness. Man.
Cars were buried in 10 feet of tumbleweeds and they couldn't get out of their cars.
That's fantastic. I'm looking at it now. Oh, man.
But we have confirmed no one is in this car, but we are trying to access the license plate.
Wow. Man, I had no idea there was so much tumbleweed.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, tumbleweed-ageddon.
Yes, indeed. Well, did you have a nice New Year's, John? Besides
that was good. We had a nice big dinner and we watched the fireworks.
Yeah.
And opened Christmas gifts.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Dvorak clan. Yeah, I have to remember that. You guys do things different. Did you get anything nice for Christmas?
I got what I wanted.
Okay.
A dash cam.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Well, my favorite videos, if anyone wants to go have fun in an entertaining manner for a good couple of hours.
Oh, it's the Russian
dash cam videos on YouTube. There's nothing better on television.
And so you're hoping to be.
Well, they put a new stop sign in down at the bottom of the street here, and people just keep running it. I'm going to film it and take it to the police. I'll be a local fink.
Hey, man, don't walk by that house. That guy lives there.
Yeah, there's a lot of other good gifts. Can't think of anything that was more spectacular. The fireworks are a dud. Actually, the local fireworks, the ones that the locals were just firing illegally, was better than the San Francisco show that was supposed to be so good. It was terrible.
Right.
Anyway.
We
go with you. How was your New Year's? What did you guys do?
We stayed home. When absolutely
everybody seems to have stayed home this New Year's.
Well, the past 2 New Years, we went out. 2 years ago, we went out for dinner, which at the Four Seasons, which is swanky, basically the meal had just been kept warm under red lights. You know, I guess the chef had cooked it up, went home, just left it there. They served it up just lukewarm.
That stinks.
Yeah, last year we went to like another restaurant where they had special wine pairings. Like, oh, this will be fun. You know, it's 8 courses. Every course had some kind of wine sampling, and it was all mixed up, and they served them wrong order. Like, oh, come on. So we stayed at home. I made black cod. We drank a little bit, and we celebrated on New York time. So we were in bed by 11:30.
Well, that's decadent.
We were in bed 11:30. Well, Happy New Year, everybody! Happy New Year.
Well, we didn't go that far, although we went through a couple bottles of good champagne.
Just following up on the end of 2019, one thing that people take away from this show is a mental health aspect, and we've gone deep into how the amygdala works and how outrage can, and triggering can start to inflame this thing, and it grows, and then you go into primal mode, and then everything is a danger.
Yeah, then you're a reptile.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're buying crickets at the store.
You want to eat bugs. But this is not just for mere mortals. This also goes for politicians, and I think we're seeing it take its toll now. We had Elijah Cummings pass away, now John Lewis. Two guys who were really, really sour the past 3 years. You know what I mean? Really, really sour and mad and Trump and Republicans. So then we heard sad news that John Lewis, of course, he was at Selma. He's, the guy's an icon. Now he has, I guess, pancreatic cancer. Of course, CBS couldn't tell him apart.
Now to an apology. Monday, during the East Coast airing of our story about Congressman John Lewis being diagnosed with cancer, a photograph of the late Congressman Elijah Cummings was inadvertently labeled as Congressman Lewis. This due to a production error. We deeply regret the mistake and sincerely apologize.
The racist production error. They all look the same. I know exactly what happened there, CBS. Racists. But I think the most clear example of an amygdala that is on the verge of bursting, and not just the act itself, but the face this man made after this incident was truly spectacular.
And in a New Year's message this morning, Pope Francis denounced violence against women, saying they should be treated with dignity. He also apologized for his response to one woman's excitement over meeting him yesterday. Take a look. The Pope was greeting visitors in St. Peter's Square when the woman roughly grabbed the Pope's hand, pulling him toward her. Francis slapped her hand away before turning from the crowd. He said this morning that he lost patience and called it a bad example. It seems the Pope's human after all.
I like the little editorial. I guess he's human after all.
And I thought you said post-human.
No, well, that too. But this incident, I found it to be shocking. Now, actually not shocking because I called this guy being the Pope before it ever happened, before any smoke rose out of the chimney. He's a New World Order guy. I don't think he's a good guy. Now, maybe if you're ordained the Pope, then you turn into a great guy. I don't know. But for the slap that he gave to this woman to let go of his hand was kind of understandable because she did just pull him over. It's like, get off me, lady.
Yeah, no, but then he was, I said.
But when he turned and he's walking away, the face that was pointed towards the camera, that is a face of disgust for small, irritating people. An elitist.
It seemed like more of a disgust for mammalians.
Well, now you're taking it very far. But and even though, as a human being, you can understand this type of reaction.
It's the Pope.
This is not what this is not a Pope. This is, of all the things, before you're about to do a speech on how to treat women, you don't do that. I think he's got to go. I think that's an impeachable offense. Can you impeach the Pope? I think we should be able to. Popes don't slap hoes.
Impeachable, apparently.
That's not the way to go.
They're now impeaching coaches in the NCAA.
I'm curious if there will be any fallout from this. I found it shocking. I mean, not that it personally offended me, but I was shocked. Like, if Jesus, when the poor and the meek were clamoring and help me, Jesus, and just slapped them away. Go away, you idiots. I know. I thought
it was the grumpy face afterwards. The slapping was,
one thing, but the face.
He should have just pointed to her and says taser to the security guys. That would be more logical.
I can just see it.
How weak is he that he actually gets pulled back by this frail woman?
There we go.
And then after she drops from being tasered, he can give her the blessing. That would be great.
Oh, well. Anyway, keep your amygdala small, people. That's the message. Don't get caught, because this is what happens. You get all messed up. I did see a lot of people tweeting about, I'm not going to get mad anymore. I'm just going to let it go. I realize I can't change anything about Trump, so I'm going to let it go. I'm telling you, even my lib devs posting similar things on their blogs. Oh, my resolution.
Well, good for them. I wish them all the luck in the world.
Yeah, it's yes, because it will keep them healthy and sane.
Yeah, but they won't be able to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah, probably not. So, 105 show days, I've been told, for this year. Let's make the best of them.
Is that more than usual?
I think it is. I think it's 3 more than
maybe
usual.
Maybe because we got started on the day after. Yeah, if yesterday was a show day, probably,
we get
some
extra show days. So I have a number of things to talk about, but I figured 23 minutes in, I'll let you do something.
Okay. Yeah, after 23 minutes of whatever it was you did.
Entertainment, yes. Entertainment. Top-notch entertainment.
Let's listen to a little bit of the BBC's 2019 wrap. I only pulled down 22 seconds of the core of BBC's, mostly the Politics Today show, where they have a bunch of incredible douchebags sitting around pontificating and making people's lives miserable.
Okay.
We're going to fulfill the repeated promises of Parliament to the people and come out of the EU on October the 31st. No ifs or buts.
I think if we don't leave on the 31st of October, this country will explode. If we get a Liberal Democrat majority government, we will take that as a mandate to revoke.
Uh-oh. Hello? Hello?
That is the 35-minute mark.
Yes, and what happened? Why was that?
Every 35 minutes, the sonic.net connection drops out for 10 seconds.
So should we switch back to the other network now?
No, they won't. It'll be good for another hour.
Oh. Yay. Okay, hold on. All right. I'll just come out of the end of that clip, okay?
Sure.
If we get a Liberal Democrat majority government, we will take that as a mandate to revoke.
To revoke?
Yeah, they're going to revoke. This was the Liberal Democrats thinking they're going to get a mandate. They got nothing.
No, they got less than nothing. Much less than nothing.
You got a nothing burger.
Everything for someone who accuses me, you say it a lot.
I do. I like it. I like the term. You've sold me on it.
Okay. Just listening to the BBC over the past couple of days, nothing really clippable, but it seems like the general consensus is it'll be a full 18 months before anything is really all taken. I mean, it's very confusing, although there was a good bit. Let's see, this was in The Guardian, of course. They had a very interesting article, which the intent is very clear. Brexit, 10 things UK citizens can still do in the EU after the 31st of January. And what they're saying is, after Britain leaves...
so they're not going to be handcuffed and beaten?
No. After Britain leaves, its people will still have certain rights, at least for another 11 months. And so here's the things so what they're saying is, you'll have 11 more months, and then it's over. Then you're right. Then we're going to be beaten with garden hoses. So what do they put at the top? Holiday in the EU. You'll still be able to do that before you won't. Number 2, take up a summer job.
Hold on a second. What do you mean you won't? So they can never go back. So if you're a Brit, you can't go into the EU ever for a holiday?
You can still travel to any EU member state up to the 31st of December 2020 with no impediments such as visas. After Brexit, it is likely that visa-free trips will continue for stays of up to 90 days. The European health insurance card that gives health cover for tourists in another member state still applies. So what they're doing is saying, this is all the great stuff you have, and it's all going away. Even though there's no evidence, they don't actually report on what the changes are going to be. So it's an insidious, I think is the term, piece.
Yeah, the insidious is a good word. This is the kind of thing the globalists, they just cannot deal with this.
So take up a summer job in the EU. Oh, listen to this. Some might have fond memories of formative weeks and months working on the continent as a student, whether waiting in a restaurant, working in a factory, child minding in the Med. That's a great term, by the way. Child minding.
Wow. So in other words, babysitting.
Well, for some rich fucker on a yacht, obviously. Child minding in the Med. Or working in a holiday resort in Spain. So that's all going away. Get a full.
These are all low-end service jobs. What do you want those for?
Well, number 3 on the list, get a full-time job in the EU. Well, that's never going to happen. Retire to the EU. Go on an Erasmus study program. Oh, man, I'm bummed. I can't do that. Apply for EU funding for science research. Oh, yeah. That's the money. It's drying up. Apply for arts funding. They don't have any arts funding in Britain.
All comes from the EU.
Apparently.
EU is the source for everything. Britain is just a shriveled up old hag.
Wow. Nominate yourself for a literature prize. Well, I guess you can do that anytime you want.
I can do that.
Look at cross-border healthcare opportunities. Why would you need to do that if the National Health Service is the best in the world and you love it so much and it's your jewel?
Yeah, that's a question that needs to be asked.
And know your rights and benefits for 2020. So then they have a guide and then they'll go scare you. So I just thought it was just a mean piece.
Like, where was this? Where did this appear?
Guardian, of course.
Oh, the Guardian, of course.
Of course. Guardian. What do you expect? Yep.
Well, we'll see what happens on January 31st. We're sticking to it. I know you are.
No, I'm skeptical. I'm super skeptical.
You're skeptical. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it.
You just heard Boris say that October 31st.
Yeah.
Bingo. And then they had Katie Hopkins on Twitter. I found an old tweet from her where she says she's going to strip naked to go to a tea shop with Nigel. If it doesn't happen on the 31st of October, out of the EU, I'm going to go naked to a tea shop with tattoos of Nigel Farage on my nipples.
That's what she tweets. That's what she tweeted?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I like about her. That whole idea, that whole visual is not one of them.
No, not a good visual.
No. Speaking of old hags, no. All right, well, we might as well talk about the war machine cranking up in an almost laughable wag the dog type of way with the green zone in Baghdad. Now,
yeah, let's start with some background.
Let's start with some background. Actually, do we have? I think we might have a clip. Yes, we do. What is this? The right one?
Well, I have some reports too, so you can.
Well, this is from 2016. I just wanted to go back. In 2016, thousands also stormed the Green Zone, which I think cost $1 billion to build this embassy. This is from 2016.
Iraqi security forces have opened fire on protesters who stormed the heavily fortified Green Zone in Baghdad. Dozens of mainly Shiite demonstrators have been injured, and security personnel suffered stab wounds, according to the army. The thousands involved in the uproar included supporters of cleric Muqtada al-Sadr.
So the Green Zone is pretty much impenetrable. At least it's supposed to be. And this is not new, but despite having all the B teams, there were no A-team producers, no A-team presenters. Oh, man, we had to roll it out. Iran, in Iraq, Iran, in Iraq. They're just not giving up. We need some kind of war.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with this thesis. Let's listen to some of the clips about this thing that just happened. Here's a light Iraq. They're all in Iraq. Light analysis. Play that.
Foreign ministers spoke about their joint commitment to see peace and security in the region and how to work together to make that happen. Again, Qatar very critical. The U.S. has about 10,000 troops stationed in a big air base just about a half an hour outside the capital of Doha. And Qatar, while a key ally of the United States, also speaks with its neighbor Iran as well. And when it comes to the hostilities between Iran and the United States, Qatar has very much a neutral attitude towards it, trying to facilitate perhaps any sort of dialogue that could potentially happen. So what you're seeing here is the United States very much sending troops to the region, 750 to be exact, taking no chances, but also the Secretary of State taking no chances on the diplomatic front as well, playing all of his cards, because it just shows how serious the U.S. is taking this and how potentially it could escalate again.
I just want to say something about the 750 troops of like, Trump's sending more troops. Trump's sending more troops. More troops. Trump's sending more troops. There's a general who was interviewed on CNN, and he kind of let slip out of the bag where these 750 troops come from.
Let's talk more about this now with CNN military analyst and retired Lieutenant General Mark Herling. General, let me start with you. You may have heard President Trump there actually reference Benghazi. He's also been tweeting about how this situation will not devolve into a Benghazi-like situation. It doesn't appear to be calming down at all. From your perspective, just how serious is the situation there?
Well, first of all, I'd say that the use of the term Benghazi is a bad analogy. In 2012, after Benghazi happened, these Marine Crisis Response Task Force were established 8 years ago. They have been in Kuwait ever since then for a response specifically to these kinds of situations. The 100 Marines came in to reinforce the Marines that are already providing security at the embassy, along with the security forces from the government of Iraq. What's going to happen next, as Ryan just said, was about 750 soldiers from the 82nd Airborne will begin deploying within the next day. They have the rest of the brigade is estimated to be following them within the next week. That's normal procedure as well when there's a crisis around the world. The IRF from the 82nd Airborne begins deploying just in case of any eventuality.
So it's not like quite a whole new deal yet, but but to me, it's so obvious that they tried to kind of make a semi-Benghazi type of thing on an embassy. It's kind of cool if you could get someone killed. That would be even funnier against Trump. There was that, but I want to play two clips before we start analyzing it. Out of the way. All right.
First of all, this is from this is a Friday clip. This is Iraq Light 2 trapped.
The U.S. is now trapped in Iraq. U.S. diplomats are trapped in that embassy. They were cordoned off there overnight. They had to stay overnight in the embassy. How did they get out now? By helicopter, like U.S. diplomats had to flee Saigon, Vietnam when it collapsed?
This like
3
swimming pools in this place.
Nuts.
Please.
So yesterday, just before I was closing my clips, we finally find this one. This is the up-to-date clip, and this one's not under Iraq. This is under Baghdad siege is over.
Uh-oh.
Supporters and members of an Iran-backed group have withdrawn from the U.S. Embassy compound in Iraq's capital, Baghdad, after a 2-day siege. Leaders of the Popular Mobilization Forces ordered them to leave, but there's a condition. They want Iraq's parliament to vote on a timeline for the withdrawal of foreign troops. Al Jazeera's Simona Faltin reports from Baghdad.
They left just as they had arrived a day earlier, determined and angry, but also pleased that they had managed to deliver a message to the U.S. Supporters of the Iranian-backed Popular Mobilization Forces, who had defied the Prime Minister's orders to withdraw just a day before, now heeded the call of their leaders. While some dismantled tents and ferried away supplies used to camp the night out, the more defiant ones staged a final showdown in front of the embassy gates, burning tires and flags to the sounds of anti-American slogans.
USA must get out from our country. We don't need America. We can protect ourselves. We have more than 2 million fighters who get out, who killed ISIS, who defend them country.
The attack on the U.S. embassy was sparked by the latest U.S. strikes against Hezbollah brigades, which is part of the Popular Mobilization Forces. The majority of the crowd consisted of its members and supporters, but some here say they were also driven by what they perceive as an unjust American policy in the region.
This is my land, and if you want to stay here, you must understand all rights. When the American government believe and understand our rights, we can leave.
Oh, it sounds like we're all kind of on the same page.
So they left? So the news media won't let you know that yet?
No.
So that was from Al Jazeera. They're gone.
Yeah.
Now, what I observed during watching all these clips and these reports from other sources than American sources was, first of all, the same. I'm glad you got that clip from 2016 where the shot at anybody tried to get near the green zone. They just let them waltz in.
Yeah. I was like, how could, when I first heard it, it's like, you can't just walk into the green zone. It's not that easy.
Yeah. So they let them walk in. And okay, come on in. I guess I think there was some sort of an agreement. It was a setup, or they were told to let him walk in. This whole thing is phony as it comes. They all had newly manufactured flags that were brand new, and there were of 2 or 3 types, including some with some writing on them and some nationalist flags. And they looked phony as anything I've seen in an American march with the phony baloney printed signs that all were identical. These all were identical and new.
Gotta love
there
it.
Was somebody behind this.
Soros.
And then they just walked out.
Soros signs again.
Soros signs.
Well, to me, the minute Pompeo said, "Oh, I'm canceling my European trip. Got to stick around. You never know." I mean, it's him. It's Fox News. It's CNN. It's MSNBC. It's all of them. Oh, we got some war. Oh, this will be great. Iran. So here's the Iraqis who are saying, "Hey, you know what? Could you get the fuck out by now? Trump, when's you going to get everybody out? You're not out. You're not out yet. Why aren't you out?" So now there's some protest. They want out. They want us out. We want to get out. But then must have been Iran attacking our embassy. I mean, it's so transparent. Even the Rouhani of Iran tweeted. He tweeted at Trump to think logically. We're not doing this.
No, it's us doing. I think it's the State Department that wants the war.
Yes.
I think Pompeo's behind this. This thing is fishy. It's phony. They came and they went. Why would they leave in the first place the way they did? Which, of course, isn't being reported correctly at all.
No.
The whole thing is just smells.
It's bogative.
Stinks.
Bogative. And I don't think Trump's falling for it either.
There's the thing that's missing.
Oh.
One of these things that we can predict because we've been doing the show long enough. I'm waiting for the Democrats, and Joe Biden in particular, to reignite the old term. The Republicans used to use.
What is?
Cut and run.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's Trump. We can't put him as president because he cut and run. Cut and run was always used to denigrate anybody who was like, somebody shakes their fist at you. Oh, okay, we'll leave.
Yep.
To make you look like a coward.
A pussy. Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to use the word cut and run against Trump.
Yeah.
to keep him. They just do not like the idea of this guy wanting to shut down bases and move troops out of places where it's just costing us a lot of money and not really doing anything.
Bomb them, and bomb them again.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Judge Janine,
That's
she knows.
Fox, so.
Yeah, she knows.
But
you're,
this is what's amounted to, as far as I can tell. There was no real threat to any. I mean, they made a mess. It's going to cost a lot of money to clean up, but
not even that. But yeah, go and take a look at the wiki page for the Baghdad Green Zone and the Baghdad Embassy. This is not a little building somewhere. This is a huge compound.
Just like the town of Hayward.
It was $1 billion at the time, which when it was built, $1 billion was a lot of money. It may still be a lot of money.
I think the billing only referred to the cost of the embassy itself, not the maintenance or the building out of the green zone.
Oh, it could be. It was very expensive.
Yeah, just because of all the. And then they showed movies, on the regular TV networks, our networks. They showed the cowering staff, and then we had that woman going on and on about they're trapped, they're never going to get out. It's a humiliation.
They're going to die. Oh yes.
So she was completely flat-footed on that one. Anyway, this thing, I think we both agree, this is something very suspicious about this protest and entry into the green zone.
Well, not just suspicious. It's, let's just pin it clearly on, I'm putting it on Pompeo. And the signs, that's State Department work. You're so right. When you get freshly printed signs, whether it's the Maidan in Ukraine, whether it's even Red Square in Russia, you get freshly painted signs. You only have two places to look: State Department or Soros. There's nothing, or the Socialist Workers' Party. But that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but they always put the Socialist Work, or actually World's Workers' Party is the one that does all the work. They always put their little logo at the bottom of their sign.
Make it easy.
they don't miss a beat. We don't do that. The State Department doesn't put U.S. State Department at the bottom of the flag.
Exactly.
Compliments of.
Yeah.
The State Department is a. You start looking into it. It goes back historically as to being a lot of bad actors there. And they got their own little CIA, which you don't know who's in it. They're more secretive than the NSA about that little operation.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Whenever you have a civilian in the State Department or a civilian in the Pentagon, either way, it's all spooks. It's all spooks. Okay. Any more on Iran? Because there's not much more to say.
We covered that one.
Yeah. I do have a little update on Seth Rich. I got some information from that woman to her podcast. Tori says that the law firms were now filing civil suits to invoke discovery because they're very worried about what information people might have on CrowdStrike, who this one law firm is representing. And so I got a little more detail on the imaging of the server, because this is where we left off, that Seth Rich had stolen data. Now, it was initially thought on a thumb drive, and that it was just the emails that were the DNC emails, which got Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Donna Brazile and everybody in so much trouble because they were screwing around and were basically screwing Bernie so that Hillary would win the nomination. So a little more detail on this. One of our producers reached out, said, hey, No Agenda's been talking about you. She sent me a couple of emails, very long emails. She likes emailing, lots of details, and for some reason she likes putting me on CCs of things she's sending to her lawyer. So I'm kind of not responding. I'm just letting that flow into my box and just collecting it. First data point is that the server image was made on an SD card, and there were several copies of this SD card. I just thought it was an interesting detail because I think an SD card would probably give you about the same data throughput rate as a USB drive. If it's a USB 3, it would probably be similar, wouldn't it?
Depends on the port.
Yeah, true.
How's the SD card?
I'm thinking it was a dedicated SD card port, is what I'm thinking.
Oh, well, there are some machines that have that because there's a little.
My Surface has it. Lots of machines have that.
Okay, then that would probably be at least USB 3 speeds, very fast.
Right. So in addition to this, apparently WikiLeaks, when they did their exchange, was accessing that data over the internet to Seth Rich's computer where he had the SD card inserted. Now, that may be important or not. It's not a big deal. But what she reminded me of is what actually the incriminating information was that was on the server. And of course, when I read it, like, God, I know we've talked about this, but it's been years ago.
I know where you're going, and we did talk about it.
Is that Hillary Clinton had on her website, whatever the vote for Hillary was, had polling places listed which you were intended to go to, but they weren't official polling places. They were staffed by
fake
polling. And so what they would do is, because you're sending people to a Hillary polling place, they're pretty much all going to vote for Hillary. So they would take those ballots and then swap out a whole bunch of Bernie ballots as they took them into the DNC to be counted. And that was why Seth Rich got killed, because that, or let's just say that happened, whatever happened to Seth Rich, that was the incriminating evidence, which of course could easily be used in many other scenarios, including a general election, I think, depending on what kind of systems you're using.
It's a pretty good idea.
It's so simple. Like, just send people to a polling place. I mean, yeah, and if you're not, you have to understand, in America, lots of polling places are just someone's garage. Yeah, I mean, this happens all the time.
Yeah. My mom used to be a polling place.
Case in point. She was probably a Russian bot.
Yeah, she did it for years. She was I don't know what your job is to have the polling place there, but it was a garage in a little house that she had, and she would we'd go to vote.
Yeah. I
think it was for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So that
they've since moved it, but
Now, of course, if that ever came out, that would be a scandal. I mean, that's really cheating. I mean, there's just no two ways to go about it. You set up a whole polling place, and on your website, send people there so they wouldn't go to the official polling place, so you could swap out the votes. I mean, that's pretty brazen.
We did have a clip from that era about some place, one of the precincts in the New York area, where there was 99% of the vote always went to the Democrat, which is a possibility, but it seems unlikely because there's always, there's too many people who just disagree with they're just disagreeable.
Oops, sorry.
And one of the things that then one of the networks went to this precinct because it seemed so fishy and talked there. Oh yeah, we're all Democrats here. And so they seemed to confirm that they were, 99% going to vote for the Democrat in one of these precincts. And it still looks fishy to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
it was all within the New York area, and that's where Bernie really got burned. He got burned in New York, and then there was the missing ballots. If you remember that one, when they never did the swap out, they just
tossed them out. It's like, let's just throw them out. Okay, the guy will never notice. Exactly.
Yeah, all of this. If anybody's going to win a lot of votes, New York is going to be Bernie in New York, not Hillary so much.
Absolutely. All of this, of course, will lead to thousands of sealed indictments, and there's no doubt about it. And he is back, Joe DeGenoa, on the trail again.
It's just not an old clip.
No, it's not. No, well, he's no longer on Fox. Now he's moved over to One America News. He's been downgraded to OAN.
Clue.
Here's just a quickie, and of course, this is also just a memory jog, a little reminder about some of the irregularities that we haven't heard about for years since the impeachment thing has been on.
Do people go to jail for this, and why not? People should go to jail for the Carter Page stuff, the lying on the FISA warrants, the misleading the FISA courts, submitting false documents to the FISA courts. Those are all felonious acts. For me, what matters is accountability at this point. You have two institutions that are vital to American freedom. the FBI and the Justice Department. They were completely corrupted under two attorneys general, Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, with the authority and knowledge of the then President of the United States, Barack Obama. And you'll never forget, I'm sure, that famous Susan Rice email on Inauguration Day of Donald Trump, where she sends an email to the file memorializing that there had been a meeting on January 5th with the President of the United States, all senior law enforcement and intelligence officials, where they reviewed the status of Crossfire Hurricane, and the President announced, President Obama, that he was sure that everything had been done by the book. I must say, I want to thank Susan Rice for being so stupid and so arrogant to write that email on January 20th, because that's Exhibit A for that Barack Obama knew all about this from start to finish and was more than happy to have the civil rights of massive numbers of Americans violated so he could get Donald Trump.
And we kind of, it's easy to forget these things about that email that Susan Rice sent to herself. And that is, of course, I don't know if it's incriminating, but it certainly shows that President Obama knew what was going on with this Crossfire Hurricane. But even One America News is not lowbrow enough. We have to go to a podcast. We got to go down a little bit lower on the show business ladder. To get Joe DeGenoa to really talk a little bit more about what's happening with the thousands of sealed indictments, as so many people will be going to jail. As now Durham, because we had everything resting in Horowitz, and then nothing, and now everyone's like, oh, Durham's going to send people to jail. It's going to happen.
This is before you continue. I have to say, people should note that this is a mirror image of what the left is doing.
Totally.
The left. Oh, Trump's going to quit. He's going to quit the campaign. Oh, there's all this evidence he's going to quit the campaign. Oh, he won't. He's going to quit the presidency. He's going to resign from the presidency. Oh, Putin's running the country. I mean, it's the exact mirror image of the nuttiness.
Except that this happens on a podcast.
That's true. The other one, that happens on CNN.
Yeah, exactly. So here is Joe DeGenoa. And now, although I think he's correct, because we know about the NSA and these FBI consultants unmasking hundreds of telephone calls of Americans, which is completely irregular to the whole FISA process. But apparently now Rogers is talking to Durham, and now it's going to happen.
There was news, Joe, that Admiral Mike Rogers, the former head of the NSA, is voluntarily cooperating with John Durham's investigation. I would think that might cause quite a bit of fervor for some folks like James Comey and others.
Oh, yeah, we're going to jail.
This is the biggest single development in the Durham investigation.
I love how on the podcast Joe DeGenoa is talking out of his butthole through his pants.
To date, we were told, according to published reports, that Admiral Rogers has met several times with John Durham, and
just stop for a second. On the podcast was DeGenoa ever asked what model number of Radio Shack microphone he was using?
I think he's using the Snowball, actually, the classic Snowball that all the YouTubers use.
Oh, no, that Admiral Rogers, who was the central...
I'm sorry. Someone in the troll room said he has his ball gag in. But now I understand the problem.
...times with John Durham, and that we now know that Admiral Rogers, who was the central figure in uncovering the illegal electronic spying done by the Obama administration prior to the Carter Page FISA warrants, the spying that went on from 2012 to 2016 involving FBI contractors illegally accessing NSA data. Mr. Rogers discovered that, reported it to the FISA court. All of that spying was stopped by her, and it led to the crescendo of illegal activity by Comey, Clapper, and Brennan. It led to the so-called Crossfire entire hurricane investigation to cover up that previous spying that had been going on. Rogers has an electronic trail of all the spying that went on over 5 years. He has personal notes a la James Comey, only this time they are not self-serving notes, they are the truth. Mike Rogers, I have described as the Rosetta Stone of this investigation. This is the single most important development in this. I have been suggesting for a long time that ultimately Rogers would be the key to any criminal investigation. That is coming true. What we now know will happen is I can be fairly comfortable in suggesting that there is going to be a substantial criminal conspiracy indictment involving a lot of people.
There it is.
With the electronic spying, by the way, which was done. That electronic spying that went on from 2012 to 2016 into NSA databases was used for unmasking people and then leaking that information to the press. And when the Attorney General talks about investigating private parties, he's talking not only about GPS, Fusion, and Glenn Simpson and all those people, and Nellie Orr. He's talking about the contractors who were illegally accessing NSA databases at the request of Comey and Brennan.
Exactly. I'm so sorry that it was very important to get into thousands of sealed indictments.
So there you go. What you learned is nothing because it was unintelligible, pretty much.
Well, you could hear it.
You could make it out, but it's very sad that that's the best that Joe can do at this point. But as I was thinking about this, and not even so much about that, but about the corruption allegations, which is kind of, if you look, I think this was in the newsletter. You had a picture of this. What are the chances of the kids of the following people having, jobs with oil companies in Ukraine? And it's Biden's kid, Pelosi's kid, Kerry's kid, and who's the fourth one? Romney.
Romney's kid, Romney, the worst.
What are the chances? We hear about corruption all the time. There's crap going on in Bolivia. My goodness, we have the guy who escaped Japan, the former Nissan Renault executive who escaped Japan in a cello case to go back to Lebanon. The thing is, we believe in America, certainly, but maybe in most of the modern West, those are just banana republics. That doesn't happen here. No, what doesn't happen here is they don't get run out of town on a rail. Because, of course, our politicians are equally, if not much more corrupt. Just it's hard for us to believe it. It's hard for an American to think.
That's more high level, too, and they're not stealing from the American. Well, they are.
Yes, directly from Americans.
Way, but they're doing it through Ukraine, so that's okay.
Well, yeah, it's not so apparent, but I really think that people in America and in the West, modern West, it can't be like billions of dollars. No, they're not really stealing billions of dollars. That doesn't happen here. Newsflash, it does, and it's so bad. It is really everything from these NGOs to the little rinky-dink foundations, money flowing everywhere. Look at Baltimore with the mayor and her scandals and. Just everywhere. It's
selling non-existent children's books to the schools.
Yes. It's rife with corruption. It's you don't see the forest for the trees anymore. So we're just as corrupt. Only we don't want to believe it. A couple of black people over there in Africa. Of course they're corrupt. Look at them. Of course. But here, no, that can't happen.
Well, nothing's going to happen about it. That we can be assured.
Well, with that, I do want to thank you for your courage, though, and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in corruption, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam C. Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to all the trolls at noagendastream.com, affectionately called the Troll Room. Thank you for handing off the one-liners once again. All kinds of good things happening in the Troll Room. How many trolls do we have online right now? Let's see. We've got 925. Not bad for January 2nd. Those are the people listening live. You can listen live on Thursdays and the second Thursday of the month, the week on Sunday. And but there's always something on noagendastream.com 24 hours a day. Also, big in the morning to, of course, Darren O'Neill once again brought us the artwork for the final show of 2019. Now, that episode was 1203. We titled it RET, which was, we actually discussed in the show, which is our retro clips, and we did have some retrospective. Now, here's what's interesting about the artwork that Darren brought us. And there were a couple of pieces, but this really stood out, but it became extra funny for a reason I shall explain. So this was the No Agenda I Heart Poot, P-O-O-T, which was the flub that we got from, actually, we probably play that flub. Who was it again? Amy Moore, and Michael Moore.
Yeah, Amy Goodman and somebody.
Yeah, Michael Moore, and this is what they were talking about. They're talking about Mayor Pete.
I mean, just like any candidate, he's a politician. People watching this will have their disagreements or whatever, but one thing you can't disagree with is he has been true to his convictions. He will fight like hell for us. The fact that 52% of young people are for him in the latest poll, 52% of young voters are for him. The millennial that's running, 2%. 2% of 18 to 35-year-olds are for the person their age. Young people want
You're talking about Poot Buttigieg?
Yeah, Poot Buttigieg, yes. I'm not trying to pronounce the name. It is Buttigieg.
Right. Poot Buttigieg. So that was a funny piece of art. And it wasn't until I saw the art that I realized, oh my, the word poot, P-O-O-T, or poot in Dutch, is completely recognizable. And once I saw the word, I'm like, holy shit. In this image, it says, I love fag. That is the Dutch slang word for gay is poot. And you could translate it directly to fag. So it had such an interesting meaning with I love poot that we used it immediately, of course, always go for the lowbrow, the lowest laugh possible. But pretty much nobody picked up on it. I was expecting some Dutch listeners to say something.
I looked at the word in the Google Translator, and it came out as leg.
Yes, it is the word for leg in Dutch as well, but slang is very obvious. But no one, no tweets, no nothing. I was surprised.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes this happens.
But it was the 33rd win for Darren O'Neill. According to Comic Strip Blogger, that's why he didn't even compete. Says he knew that Darren it was like a no hit, no run. So I'm not going to ruin his 33rd.
Yeah, it's like throwing him a softball to hit the last homer of the year.
Exactly. So kind, so collegiate. So, yes. Very nice. And thank you very much, Darren O'Neill, for doing so much for us in 2019. And
I'd say 33 is about a third of all the shows.
It's huge. Yeah. And Darren was there this morning doing the pre-stream once again for this show. So he's a great force in our Value for Value network. He really understands it, and we really appreciate what he does. And all of the artists, and you can go take a look at their work at noagendaartgenerator.com. And we've got some people to thank who supported us, our executive and associate executive producers for today.
Right, and this is the New Year's special, so they get an extra good credit if they're executive producers. Starting with Anonymous. Probably won't use it. Anonymous comes in at $678.93, and he's in Michigan. Probably one of the Michigan local guys. ITM Anonymous. He says no name or location. Well, you're in Michigan. I think they won't track you down. But may I please get an Atlas shrug followed by a big Al respect? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. The email from Adam tugged at my heartstrings. He sent you an email? You sent something
I actually emailed a couple of our top supporters.
Love you guys at the ONA family. Bonus was good this year. Tax cut did help some slaves. So you should donate more anyway. Any cheap bastards out there need to do the same. Adios and such mofos.
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. RESPICT.
It's some brother. Ichimura Crows in Miami. 33333. Thank you, John and Adam, for a wonderful year. The magic number is everywhere. 33. Also, can I get some karma for the new year? Happy New Year to all. Can't wait to use my executive producer title.
33. That's a magic number. It's the magic number.
You've got karma.
I threw that in as a little bonus.
Gregory Pearson, Cockeysville, Maryland. I'm sure there's a better pronunciation than that. 33333. Another special executive producer. Happy New Year. I would like some jobs karma. So a dealer's choice on jobs. Also, don't eat me, Bo Jiden.
Yes.
And boom shakalaka little girl.
Okay. Well, we have all of that for you lined up right now.
Don't eat me, Bo Jiden. You're scary. So scary. Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
That's child abuse exhibit A and B on the show.
I don't think it's abuse. The kids like it, so it's not abuse. I think what it is exploitation.
One of our producers, I guess, gave their daughter one of those little, mini plastic cars. You can drive around yourself, sit in it, and drive it. It has a radio, and it, or with something that resembles a radio. I guess, maybe some pre-recorded sounds. You're like, "Mommy, No Agenda is no longer on my radio." She's filming her, the kids driving around. She says, "What do you like best about No Agenda?" Now, I couldn't clip it because it doesn't really work without the visuals. He says, "What I like best about No Agenda is the dirty words." I'm like, okay, there you go. Corrupting the children.
Brother.
Yeah.
That's you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ed LaBoutier, $333 comes in. Let's make 2020 a great year for No Agenda. Happy New Year to the best podcast in the universe.
Thank you, Sir Ed LaBoutier.
Craig Canetti in Southampton, Massachusetts, 333. No Agenda has been a medication grade gift of sanity.
There you go.
I have no desire to imagine my life without it. That said, I have been a douchebag for about 4 years now, and I need to start this decade off right with this donation. May I get a much-needed de-douching, jobs karma, and a grad school karma? Thank you, Craig from the Lost Lands of Western Massachusetts.
You've been de-douched.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Louis Perez in West Palm Beach, Florida, 333. Professors John and Adam, I have been a douchebag since day one, but no more. Please de-douche.
Yes.
You've been de-douched.
Thank you kindly for sharing all of your knowledge and stories via this virtual university that is the No Agenda Show. Jingle, connect the dots with Maxine.
Here's what I've said. I've said that we need the information. We need to connect the dots. And we got to drill down. We've got to connect the dots. Get the facts. Connect the dots. Do everything that I possibly can to help connect the dots. I've said we've got to connect the dots. I've always said, if we connect the dots, I believe that they should have to connect the dots if we're able to connect the dots. And if we determine the facts, if the dots are connected, let's get to the bottom of it all. Let's see if the dots connect.
The dots connect.
Dots.
Once again.
She's got a lot of things, those floaters in her eyeballs, I bet you.
Yeah. I'll bet you
Christopher Walker in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Go Packers, 20202. That No Agenda show has been and will continue to be the best podcast in the universe. I'd like to thank you both for your courage and passion. Now, if I may, I'd like to thank every producer who submits art for the show. You artists are phenomenal. When I first discovered No Agenda years ago while using the No Agenda Stream Roku app, the thing that really drew me in was the new art that was distributed with each show. That stuff is too funny. Furthermore, who else does that?
Exactly.
Only No Agenda. That's who.
That's right.
Now down to brass tacks. With the most recent donation, I've achieved Viscount status. This is all very exciting. I'd like to request a title change. If I may, henceforth, I'd like to be known as Sir Christopher Barron of Brown County and the Viscount of the Troll Room, a.k.a. Gummy Nerds. If that isn't acceptable, then I'll be in touch.
Oh,
I
think it's fine. It seems fine.
Fine, sure.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to request a de-douching for a friend and fellow No Agenda enthusiast. Would you please de-douche Mike Hunt?
You've been de-douched.
God. Are we in kindergarten? Is that the deal? We're in kindergarten now? All right, Gummy Nerds. And the troll room goes wild. Jeez. There's enough childish behavior from both of us here. We don't need your help.
Yes, we're supposed to be the source. Finally, I may request a few jingles. I'd like to request any jingle of John's choice. I think Share a Secret's a good one. Any jingle of Adam's choice, and I would like the Drone Again Naturally song to be played at the end of the show. Well, for a Viscount, you might be able to do that, although Adam tends to forget to do that.
No, I've actually. Thank you. I try. I'm getting better.
Hey, what are you gonna do? Anyway, keep it up. Onwards to a 2020 and beyond.
Yes. So you chose Tell a Secret. That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see what. Then I'll choose. I'll choose this one.
Oh, there's no winning. We don't like to foster a competitive atmosphere, but we laugh a lot. Now everyone hug and share a secret.
Monday, you better hide your stash because there's a war on cash. The drone again.
Yes, and I will play the full Drone Again track at the end of the show. Promise. Dun, dun, dun. Nasty. Thank you for the madness.
Tanya, the Viscountess of New York City, $201.69. I haven't heard from her for a while. She had me. She was going to buy some wine at some recent dinner. She was going to send me a list. So she had their sale wines. These sale wines are a scam.
Whoa, stop. What are you talking about, man?
She sent me a note. This last time I heard from her.
Okay.
Asking to help her with the wine selection, which I do gladly with any Viscount night, you and other people.
Right.
She thought those were some words. I said, these wine deals that they are a scam.
So she sent you a list of wines that she could choose from, and they
were on sale at some restaurant.
Okay. And then you sent back and said, they're all a scam. Is that was your response, or did you choose
with that exact voice?
I've been hearing it for you. I know.
I managed.
It's crazy.
So she said, "Oh, okay. Well, then can you pick something from the big list?" So she sends me the big list, and I never wrote her back. I just forgot.
Oh, this whole wind-up was a mea culpa and a shitty one at best?
Yes, it was a wind-up for a mea culpa.
Damn. All right.
Anyway, she writes, Happy New Year. Thought it was time for another associate executive producership. 1.69, the amount is a nod to episode 169 where I was knighted. I'm planning to be at the New York meetup on January 18th. Athena and Alex rock for setting it up. And looking forward to meeting them. I completely dropped the ball, on organizing my mom's 4-day hospital stay after open heart surgery turned into a month and a half.
What kind of excuse is that?
Home now.
What
and
kind of
much
excuse?
better, I think, No Agenda Health Karma did work.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you.
Something worse may have happened without it.
Right.
Anyway, sorry for War and Peace.
Hardly.
And love you guys as always.
No, we love you, Dame Tanya. Dame Tanya, the Viscountess of New York City. She's very important in the Big Apple. She's one of the holdouts as it gentrifies towards China.
Yeah, is that, and she's apparently not a swollen amygdala liberal somehow.
Somehow? No, she. What do you mean somehow? She's a no agenda
that's what happens.
listener.
You're in New York. I mean, that's all you get.
Well, that's true. That's true. It's true. Thank you, Dame Tanya.
So we don't need the taxes from them because we're New York. We don't need money.
We're New York.
New York. We don't need money. Angela Castaneda comes up next from Henderson.
Dame Angela from Las Vegas.
Dame Angela from Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, let's go back up to Dame Tanya and give her some more health karma for her mom.
Okay, absolutely. So I'm going to add a twist of goat.
You've got karma.
Goat is universal.
So Dame Angela from Henderson, $200. I haven't been able to listen as much lately, but I had caught the show today. The report about Trump bringing the troops home from places we don't need to be made me remember why I need to make listening and supporting the show a priority. Thank you.
And I'm going to give her and her husband some karma from me and from Tina.
You've got karma.
It's really nice. Angela has done so much, man. She's organized tours for us. She's a massive, massive producer.
Well, good. She doesn't organize anything for me.
Well, you don't need any organizing except that office of yours.
You know, I've come up with a solution to your issue.
Yeah, that you won't ever let me see your studio. So therefore,
no, I'm going to let you see it. You'd have to sign a non-disclosure and give me $100 cash.
$100 cash?
Is it worth to you that much?
Well, I'm
$100. That's the tour of the office. The tour of the studio is gonna. Anyone who wants to see it, $100.
Now, okay. Wait, whoa! What do you mean, anyone? Now all of a sudden, anyone can see it.
Maybe it's I can make this into a tourist attraction.
It's $100 and an NDA. I don't quite.
Yeah.
So what cannot do with once I sign this NDA? Well, let's stop. Let me revisit this. I've only been to John's house once, and I believe it was about 11 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. 10 or 11 years ago.
No, it's probably 10.
And it was for Thanksgiving. It was very nice. And I said, let me go see your studio. What? No, you can't go upstairs. I just wanted, no.
In that voice.
I'm nailing it today. And I said, well, whatever it was like a hard no. And I've never even been invited back. And so,
you're not anywhere in the neighborhood.
With your daughter getting married in May, and we've been invited, and we're very excited about coming, although it's on a Sunday, which is rather odd. I mean, what child of No Agenda Nation gets married on a Sunday? Show day.
Hates Dad.
Well, hello. And so I said, we'd love to come, but I'd hate to be in San Francisco once again and not be able to see your studio. And you immediately went, no. And so now, if I sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and pay $100.
Cash.
Well, the NDA. So I mean, you got to let me. I mean, can I? I can't mention anything. What Can I see the language of the NDA?
Man, you drive a hard bargain. Yeah, you can see the language of the NDA.
How about I just won't take pictures? I mean, I will remind you came to my house an hour late, and that, people were already leaving, and like, hey, you come in, you turn on the Warriors game on television, like, we're getting married. No, hey, got a TV? Where's ESPN? And then you go upstairs and you take 100 pictures of my studio, and now you hang up on me.
Those videos of a fireplace.
Hold on. Stop. You broke up again. Is it 35 yet? No, it's 30. It's not even time yet.
Well, it's still in the range.
Okay. Anyway, so I was saying, and then you took 100 pictures of my studio.
I took 100 pictures of your studio?
Yeah.
Where are those 100 pictures? I don't have them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. All right. No, I will not sign an NDA. I will pay the $100 though. That's well worth it. But the NDA, I mean, I need to be able to talk about some. How about this? A non-disparagement agreement.
Oh,
that may be good. So I can't disparage you or your studio.
Yeah, but you're a professional, and professional broadcasters have ways of disparaging that aren't technically disparaging.
I just want to see this.
That would have to be in there if I determine that as a disparagement. There will be a fine.
Okay, write it up. Consider. I think we can sign phase 1 of this deal very soon.
All right, so Tristan Banning in Toronto, $200. I mentioned his Happy New Year. He says letter to follow. I don't have a letter. I looked.
He says JK. He says, so I guess it was a joke. No letter.
Joke. Aha.
JK.
Please give a healthy dose of goat karma to everybody. Cheers, Sir Tristan in Toronto.
You've got karma.
Marv Dorner in Mandan, North Dakota, 200. I'm in serious need of a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
As it's been years since my last donation, it's time to clear out my PayPal account to wrap up the knighthood as we enter another exhausting election year and no agenda keeping me sane. This donation will get me pointed in that direction. Could I also please get some cancer karma, as my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer the day after Christmas. So I'm looking for all the help I can get. And since we're in the middle of an oil and train country, is where we are. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Please play a listen to that horn jingle. Have a great 2020.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
You've got karma.
And that'll be the conclusion of our list of well-wishers, associate executive producers for show 1204. It includes the moniker as producing the special New Year's, or producing the No Agenda New Year's Day special.
Well, now what is it? Can you?
Well, you can put it whatever you want. Just a New Year's Day special show. It's a New Year's special.
I would say something like executive producer, No Agenda Show, 2020 New Year's special. I mean, something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
Use that. That would be good.
That'd be good. Regardless of what you call it, it's something that you should display loudly and proudly wherever that works. That would be your LinkedIn profile. All of your account profiles is where you want to put this. And I'm seeing it more and more, certainly on Twitter, and it looks good. And I hope that it's bringing you good prosperity because it's intended to. And it works in our value for value system where
it works.
You just tell us how much you like the show. It's an immediate gratification. It puts us on notice. It really motivates us in many different ways. And it also, really continues to produce the best podcast in the universe. If you don't believe me, go look at the Mueller report. By omission, it is proof. And of course, we'll be back on, what is today? Today is a Thursday. On Sunday, the other Thursday of the week. Please consider supporting us as we roll into the roaring 20s.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And of course, you're up to speed on everything in Iran, Iraq, so you're on top of it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
There's something on this show we don't do, but I appreciate people that do it. But I wonder about how many of these people are just fakes. They're phonies. Sometimes it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
So I listen to C-SPAN, the journal, when they have these call-ins. These guys call in, and it's not really for interaction. It's mostly for these, what most call-ins are anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just make a statement.
Well, yeah, you call in the Republican line or the Democrat line, and you get to bitch and moan in a partisan fashion.
They changed it over the holiday to the pessimist-optimist lines.
Oh, brother. So C-SPAN had a formatting change, first time in 35 years. Guys have got an idea.
Well, just for the holidays. So one of the pessimists calls in, and this is C-SPAN Dave in Atlanta.
Dave in Atlanta, Georgia, says he's pessimistic about what he sees in 2020. Hello.
Hello, yes, I'm Dave in Decatur, Georgia, and I heard 20 minutes ago that you're doing fine today, so I'm not going to ask you how you're doing. And I want to tell you that I'm pessimistic because it was in the 1970s, and I'm standing there listening to this big old Protestant preacher telling a crowd of teenagers. One of the boys had on a T-shirt that said, "All one people," and had an image of the world with all these different national flags. And that preacher stood there and corrected that young man that we're not all one people. We're Americans. We are exceptional. And that's what's got us where we are today. We are not exceptional. We're a bunch of racist bigots. When we went into Vietnam, it was to side with the white people, the French, who went over there and brutalized those Vietnamese people. We took up that brutality, and I was involved in it. I killed people over there for a lie, and it's a lie is that American exceptionalism is a load of nonsense.
Okay.
We all ought to love each other and be kind to each other instead of loving the almighty dollar. Thank you very much.
Wow, was that the optimist line or the pessimist line?
That was the pessimist.
That was the pessimist line. Wow. Well, I don't know what to say, really. Well, he made some points there. He said, "Hey, I went over, killed people in Vietnam for all based on a lie." Yes. Well, at least he's woke. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's woke. He's woke. I'll take that. In this new year, a lot of musical chairs taking place. The Bank of England, the chief of the head of the Bank of England, Mark Carney. He, and I recall last year, his last hurrah, as he was already given up. He was leaving his post. He was at the bankers meeting in where did they do that? That secret bankers meeting, the central bankers. Is it in Georgia somewhere? I'm thinking.
Jekyll Island.
I bet it is Jekyll Island. Let me see. I probably have.
So, by the way, that place in Jekyll Island where the Fed was orchestrated is still there, and it's turned into a hotel for tourists. It looks like a pretty cool place to visit.
He, okay, yes, that was when was that? That was September. And he was saying, oh, well, looks like we're going to have some digital currencies. I mean, it's time to blow it all up. The system's not working. This was his last hurrah. You remember those clips? And he's like, oh, Bitcoin is, well, that may be the future. Blah. So this guy, kind of, for a moment, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool that he said that on his way out. It's nice to, just throw a little hand grenade before you leave. But he's back on the scene, or let's just say the musical chairs have, the music has played, the music has stopped, and he's in a new chair. Guess where he is now and what his new job is?
World Bank.
Close. This guy is a former Goldman Sachs. He ran the Bank of England, so that's the Federal Reserve of the United Kingdom. No, now he is the UN envoy for climate change. Yeah, bring the financial guys in. Oh, yeah. And the BBC interviewed him. And, here's...
a second before we continue with this. Are you implying that there is a connection between world banking and climate change because there's money involved somehow?
If you hold on for two clips, I'll answer the question. Here's Mark Carney regarding the emergency.
It's talked about 2020 being a decade of action, absolutely necessary on climate change. We want action on the finance side. We want, on that disclosure, companies doing that disclosure.
There's a lot of memes in here. Climate disclosure is another good one. You have to disclose something.
On that disclosure, companies doing that disclosure, we want that to become the norm. It's important that you and I, people watching, can understand how our money's being invested. Is it being invested consistent with the transition path that is the law of the land, that is what our citizens want, which is that we're transitioning in a way that will stabilize?
This guy sounds just like Adam Schiff.
Interesting observation. I'll pay attention to that. It's probably the same milieu, for sure. I just like that he's saying that, this, of course, he's talking about the UK. The law of the land, it's climate change. We got to make sure the money is spent right. Remember, the last, the COP25, which was held in Madrid, was all about the climate negotiation, which apparently didn't go so well because everyone wanted to receive, but no one wanted to pay anything. So here's this guy telling the British subjects, it is a BBC interview after all, we're taking your money, and we'll make sure you feel very good about how we invest it in ourselves.
The land, that is what our citizens want, which is that we're transitioning in a way that will stabilize the climate.
You'll spend a lot of 2020 working on climate as part of your...
How arrogant is that? We'll spend your money in a way that will stabilize the climate. I mean, if I went on the street 20 years ago, people would shoot me if I said these things. Give me your money. Don't worry. I'll make sure I invested wisely so the climate will stabilize.
Our citizens want, which is that we're transitioning in a way that will stabilize the climate.
You'll spend a lot of 2020 working on climate as part of your UN role in the run-up to the Glasgow summit. I wonder why you choose not to use the term climate emergency.
I would say we're in a climate crisis, just like a financial crisis, where action needs to be taken. Now, this is a slow burn crisis, if you will, so it's more difficult to act because you don't have the public spectacle of a failing bank or queues outside a building society or those types of tangible, the markets moving around a tangible way that force action. That's part of the challenge. That's part of the tragedy of the horizon.
So listen very carefully what he says here. He's saying we don't have, like a financial crisis, we don't have people standing outside banks, a run on the banks, etc. Now, I want to hear your point. I would argue, well, what about all the fires? Isn't the Amazon, California, Australia, that's all being shown as huge examples of the climate emergency, the climate crisis. He says we don't have that. It's not tangible enough. And he says that's the challenge. I think these guys are planning some kind of financial crash with all this.
I think these guys have already planned these fires, personally.
Well, there's that.
I mean, right now in Paradise, they're selling the properties there left and right, as you would expect. You can go buy some of these old properties now for about pennies, not pennies on the dollar, but about a third of what you would have paid some years ago. And people are just rebuilding. The other people just abandoned the area, and they're leaving the properties for sale at fire sale prices. And it's a really good time to get in on some of these things because the whole town burnt down, which makes no sense to me.
Right.
And, how does a whole town burn down like that?
Well,
let's go back to what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Which is, what is it? When does the reporter start to grill you about your language usage like she did? She said to him, why are you calling it a crisis and not a climate emergency? And we already know that climate crisis and climate emergency were two terms that showed up on purpose to change the conversation from global warming and climate change. And they decided that it's not alarmist enough. They haven't done enough of alarming the public. Let's change these to climate crisis and climate emergency. And sometimes Amy, for example, Goodman will say both.
Right. Yeah.
Climate crisis, climate emergency, right back to back.
War and Peace report.
But when does a reporter, instead of just getting somebody to talk, actually correct their language? Why? How did that happen?
Well, it is the BBC after all, and they have a style guide, and they all chose, if you recall, they chose to use the alarming words climate emergency. But again, and I'll play the last 11 seconds, Carney here is saying, no, you don't have anything tangible, but that's the challenge.
public spectacle of a failing bank or queues outside a building society or those types of tangible, the markets moving around a tangible way that force action. That's part of the challenge. That's part of the tragedy of the horizon.
That's part of the tragedy on the horizon. That's part of the challenge. Let's
play that again.
The last bit?
He's predicting there's going to be a situation?
Well, it's hard to understand exactly how he means it because he said it's part of the challenge. Here, listen again.
Because you don't have the public spectacle of a failing bank or queues outside a building society or those types of tangible, the markets moving around a tangible way that force action. That's part of the challenge. That's part of the tragedy of the horizon.
Okay, so what he's saying is we don't have that spectacle that force action. What he means by force action is that's how in 2008 our money was taken from us because of forced action and given to the banks, literally given to the banks. This is when everyone started to retire, including my buddy, the former New York banker. Everyone made off like bandits because they had a horrible spectacle. You had Obama there. We're all going to die. I'm just going to give it to you straight, people. It's not good. It's not who we are. So that's what he's vying for, and the guy is in the right position to make these things happen. He's a banker. I don't think you're ever really a former banker. He's a Goldman Sachs guy. He ran the Bank of England. Now he wants to cause some kind of panic.
I don't think it's a financial panic he's interested in causing, because if there's a financial panic, that means people are going to tighten the purse strings. It has to be something else. And I think I'm listening to him. I think they don't know what to do. I think they're looking for a good idea.
Well, let's listen to this second clip. Maybe we'll learn more.
You've taken a fair amount of flack in this role on various different fronts, including from MPs. I wonder if you think that we have, as you look at this country, whether we have enough truth in our political debate, enough truth in our Brexit debate.
I think what's essential on this topic, on climate change, is that we have a cross-party, nonpartisan approach to it, that the science is clear, that the type of transition that what we've been talking about, that we get as specific as possible about what's needed. We can't afford on this one to have selective information, to have spin, misdirection, misleading. It needs to be absolutely clear because we're all in. We're all in on it.
Mm-hmm. All in on it. You betcha. Producer,
I like where there's that's kind of it's kind of a double meaning the way he says it.
He says we're all in on it. Oh yeah,
we're all in on this one. We're all in. As in lean in. We're all in. We're all in.
We're all in on this. Yep.
Or we're all in on. Yeah, it's just very.
There's no debate.
Truth wants to come out there.
I'd like to play a historical clip for some context of this. Obviously, John and I are not big believers in this climate change. Send all your money to the elite so they can invest it for us. European Union now with Frans Timmermans, who is the Green Deal czar. He must have 50 or 60 people working for him overnight in this deal, and he is requiring from the 26 member states in the European Union annually 260 billion euros to fight climate change. So every member state has to send 10 billion euros, which they don't have. They have to find it somewhere, which comes from the citizens, and they're going to send it to the European Union, and Uncle Franz is going to make sure we don't die because of it, and he needs that for a span of 10 years. Where does this all come from? 2008, at the height of the Great Recession, Bill Moyer's journal, PBS Television, sat down with George Soros to discuss a number of issues. It's only 1 minute and 37 seconds, but if you've never heard this clip, it will bring clarity
to what global warming is really about.
So let's leave them something to think about as they go home. Let them go home and say, Mr. Soros said, here are 3 things we can do, simply. 1,
work on a better world order where we work together to resolve problems that confront humanity, like global warming. And I think that dealing with global warming will require a lot of investment. You see, for the last 25 years, the world economy, the motor of the world economy that has been driving it was consumption by the American consumer, who has been spending more than he's been saving. All right? Than he's been producing. So that motor is now switched off. It's finished. It's run out of, can't continue. You need a new motor. And we have a big problem. Global warming requires big investment, and that could be the motor of the world economy in the years to come.
Putting more money in, building infrastructure, converting to green technology?
Instead of consuming, building electricity grid, saving on energy, rewiring the houses, adjusting your lifestyle, where energy is got to cost more until you introduce those new things. So it will be painful, but at least we will survive and not cook.
We will not cook. It will be painful to send all your money to me. So, for the better world order. That's it. That's it. The motor he's talking about was the hollowing out of the United States, for sure. We didn't produce that much anymore. We're just borrowing money and spending it on cheap crap from China. The motor stopped. The motor is his motor. It's his drop a penny and get $1 out the bottom motor. So he literally said, we need a new motor for a better world order. This global warming thing. Yeah, that'll take huge investment. Rewire your home, slaves. I don't know what the hell that means. But we should do it all, remember. Otherwise, we'll cook.
Well,
That's it.
In the cap and trade bill, which was bounced back, this is back in 2000.
Around the same time. 8 or 9?
I believe.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
The cap and trade bill came up, or as Gohmert called it, the crap and trade bill. It had provisions in there, and if you remember, this is when John Boehner was the Speaker of the House. He's crying all the time.
Yes.
He went on about, with segments of it, he read segments. We had clips, and where he's talking about how a lot of today's structures just need to be torn down because they're not energy efficient enough.
Right.
And it was a phase out law where you'd just be leveling houses left and right and rebuilding them from scratch. And that would be the motor, the rebuilding motor. Of course, that'll all be done under international one world government, hopefully, according to Soros, hopefully. And it was just a nightmare. And so the rewiring, I think, was just kind of what was left over, what he could just remember about the bull crap they tried to force down our throats. And that's where the jobs karma came from.
Yes. And so the point here is the whole idea was huge investment, take it from us, from the taxpayer, take that money, invest it in huge important things like anything that Soros is involved in, and that will be the new motor. And then Trump came in and said, no, not going to do it. And guess what? It's all falling apart. The motor's not getting, at least not that motor's not getting started. And it was a part of the same push. In fact, I have it here. Hold on, where is it? If you recall, here was President Obama. And by the way, when I went to fish this clip out of the archives, I kind of missed him, particularly for stuff like this.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. How you doing? It's your buddy
This
Barry.
week, I'm proud to join the students, teachers, businesses, and nonprofit organizations taking big new steps to support computer science in America's schools.
Now, you remember this? You remember this whole push?
Yeah, this is the code push.
Because you're not going to have any jobs. There's no more coal jobs. It's going to be done with you. Done with your jobs. You need to code.
Learning these skills isn't just important for your future. It's important for our country's future. If we want America to stay on the cutting edge, we need young Americans like you to master the tools and technology that will change the way we do just about everything. That's why I'm asking you to get involved. Don't just buy a new video game, make one.
Sure.
Don't just download the latest app, help design it.
Okay.
Don't just play on your phone, program it.
Yeah, not possible.
No one's born a computer scientist, but with a little hard work and some math and science, just about anyone can become one.
You hear that? Hear that, Google? It's so easy. Little math and science, little hard work, we're coming for you.
This week is your chance to give it a shot. And don't let anyone tell you you can't. Whether you're a young man or a young woman, whether you live in a city or a rural area, computers are going to be a big part of your future. And if you're willing to work and study hard, that future is yours to shape. Thanks, everybody.
All right. STEM, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
So this, of course, was in Joe Biden's head when he goes to the miners. Where was he, in West Virginia? Where was he this time?
I believe it was West Virginia, but it was in one of the Virginias.
So I have the short setup, how he started off.
I come from a family where, in an area where it's coal mining in Scranton. Anybody who could go down 300 to 3,000 feet in the mine, sure and hell can learn how to program as well.
So so if you can go down 3,000 feet into a mine, you can program. A little bit of math, a little bit of hard work. Yeah. Now, so this was what was tweeted about, and it was actually hard to find the audio for it. Then he went into this longer rant, which made it even more interesting that Joe was living in 2008.
The president asked me to get Detroit out of its problems. Remember Detroit went bankrupt? And he gave me authority to do whatever I needed to do. So I set up with all the agencies what is all the money out there Detroit could qualify for they didn't ask for. They didn't know how to get it. The end result was, not just because of me, but because of the team I put together, Detroit got out of bankruptcy. Started to come back. We were able to provide everything from street lighting for them that they didn't know they could have, and to inner city rail. So we put in a rail system. Anyway, make a long story short, really started.
The rail to nowhere. Has he been to Detroit recently?
Apparently
it's
not.
It's still a shithole. Hello.
Apparently not.
Inner city rail. So we put in a rail system. Anyway, make a long story short, things really started to move. And then we found out something interesting. Everybody, when things hit, went bankrupt, everybody who had any talent in terms of technology left. Black, white, Hispanic, man, women. We didn't have anybody, not a joke, who could turn on the streetlights. You hear me? Not a joke. No.
You hear me? Not a joke. You hear me? Not a joke. No one could turn on the streetlights.
No one who knew how to turn on the sewer system.
No one knew how to turn on the sewer.
Because it requires computer capability and programming capability.
Really? Flipping a switch. Yeah, computer capability.
And so we went out and hired this outfit that the major corporations hire when they need IT. They went out into the neighborhoods. They found 54, happened to be all women, not by intention, mostly women of color with a few exceptions, ages 24 to 52 or 4. They went through a 19-week training program at the community college there, learning how to program. And I remember telling people this, and my liberal friends were saying, you can't expect them to be able to do that. Give me a break. Anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program, for God's sake.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to give that clip of the day, but...
I'm going to take it because this was one of the most unhinged things he's ever said.
Clip of the day.
So what he's saying is, when he saved Detroit, Joe, because
this is news to me, by the way.
Well, the president gave him the directive, Joe, listen, here we are, Joe, we're going to save Detroit. So Joe went and saved Detroit with his team. He gave his team some props for saving Detroit.
Yeah, good for him.
But then they fixed everything. They fixed the sewer. They fixed the street lights. They fixed the light rail. They didn't know how to turn it on. So then they got one of these IT recruiting firms who, instead of going and getting a whole bunch of H-2B Indian workers, went into Detroit, found 50 black women, and they trained them. And his conclusion is, if you can shovel coal into a furnace, you can code.
I don't understand what one has to do with the other, but that's exactly what he said. People who are not even miners, but just shovel coal into a furnace maybe on that train, you can code. And this is 2019 he's saying this.
Does he even know? Can he code?
With a little bit of hard work and some science and math. He can't even remember
He
can't even remember his own text code, let alone that he can code something. No, people. This is not the solution. Don't send your kid to code school. Give your kid your old laptop with a Linux distro. Here, kid, go make something work for me. Oh, damn it. Are you back? So seamless. I'm going to have to stop tape now. Are you back?
Stop.
Right. Okay, stop. Hello.
It would take to write a modern game.
We lost you completely. Yeah, I have no idea what you were saying.
Switching back to Channel B.
Get some quality equipment there.
Not the equipment. This network is not up to par 11.5. Okay. Very annoying.
Yes.
Somebody at Sonic should be fixing this mess.
Whatever you were saying, it sounded good.
Line. It should not be breaking up like this.
It's not breaking up. It's completely disappearing. Learn to code.
No, it was dead. Goes dead.
Learn to code. Are you switching?
I'm working on it.
Excuse me.
It's going to be transparent, so I'll just be talking and it'll just be transparent.
I have agita.
So I go to the adapter and I switch back. So I just click on this. No, I've clicked on the wrong one. Hold on. As one enables, the other one will disable, and it'll be completely transparent. You won't even know what happened. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Let's just all pretend it worked, okay? Just tell them it was seamless, please. Yeah, just tell them it was seamless.
It was perfect, seamless.
Seamless, man. I couldn't believe it. So seamless. So I'll play this last bit here, and then you can jump in. Hold on. Work for me. Oh, damn, fuck. Your old laptop with a Linux distro. Here, kid. Go make something work for me. Okay, so I'll jump in here. Old laptop. Your old laptop with a Linux distro. Here, kid. Go make something work.
This is unbelievable to me. This guy is so naive. He doesn't even know what any of this means. You can't code a game. Somebody just sitting there at home can't just sit there and code a modern game. Yeah, they can hunt the Wumpus. They might be able to do that. But I don't think there's a lot of, market for stuff.
John, if you can shovel coal into a furnace, you can code. It's clear. We took 50 black women in Detroit and they turned on the sewer. Doesn't get much more intersectional than that. What's a Wumpus, by the way?
Hunt the Wumpus. What?
Hunt the Wumpus? No, I don't know what Hunt the Wumpus is.
Holy moly.
You said holy moly.
I did.
Sorry, should we know what hump the Wumpus means?
Hunt.
I wanted to hump the Wumpus.
Well, there's a bunch of dudes named Ben out there that are rolling their eyes with your lack of knowledge about this fabulous game.
Apparently, it works best on a TI 99.
It works fine on anything.
Anyway, that guy, I'm sorry, cannot be our president. He just can't.
Well,
that is
not going to be anyway.
That's not a modern thought pattern that he has there. It's sad. He's, I understand what he's trying to say, because of course anybody can do anything they set their mind to. But it's not just about coding an app.
And by the way, what kind of a country would we have? Let's just take the logical extreme of this. I'm going to take the other side of this. Let's say that something happened. It made it possible for anybody to write high-level code. Everybody, the entire country could write the highest level code just like falling off a log. Anyone could do it at any time. What would that do to the economy?
Well, we'd have a lot of HyperCard applications.
Well, it's pretty much like a reference to Hunt the Wumpus.
Yeah, exactly.
OTG going OTG.
Maybe we should just take it to the OTG.
Kind of guy.
Off the grids, everybody.
OTG going OTG. I'm an OTG kind of guy.
I did want to give a little update. We do have a couple of OTG things to discuss as we try to save our sanity with technology, or at least I do. Ever since we talked about it, and I should probably look it up. When did we do our first Linux talk? In fact, I can see it was episode 1194, Mint 19, and that was, what's the date of that?
No, it'd be 10 episodes ago, so it'd be
November 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, November 20th. I have been on my Linux distro since then, have not changed, have not gone back to Windows, have customized it, fine-tuned it, and am completely satisfied. It is, I mean, I feel so good about...
You're not running the podcast on it.
No, I wish. No. The USB stuff in Linux is a whole different problem, and that's really up to the device makers, but the USB consortium is a quagmire. I've kind of given up on that. But everything else, and I have this thing tricked out, hydramized, optimized. It does all my workflows because I can, but most importantly, it just works. Day in, day out, no reboots, no shaking, like an Etch-a-Sketch, no upgrade of my experience. And it just keeps working. I'm so happy with it that I.
Well, this is new. I mean, this is Linux. New. We've been playing with for 10 years on the show, on and off. And it's always got something wrong because it doesn't work.
Now, I know that you have very different requirements for me. I'm an information manager. That's what I do. So my main tool is email. The workflows I was able to create through a combination of a great email program, Claws Mail, which is also available on Windows, by the way. But you could do a lot more interesting things in Linux. You can pipe it off to programs, send it to files. A lot of stuff I'm doing, which I should probably document and write up. The browser, of course, simple browser work. And that's about it. You don't need much else. And it's very lightweight. I have it on a USB stick, so I have it loaded on 3 different computers, so I have automatic backups. It's fantastic. Your requirements are different. I don't know if you've still stuck with it or if you've gone back and forth, or what's the status of your Linux life.
I can't use Photoshop on it, so it's a no-go. Until Adobe makes a Linux version of Photoshop, which they refuse to do because John Warnock personally has as long as he's alive, even though he's the chairman of Emeritus, he has a hard-on for Linux and open source, literally, because he thinks that the PostScript clone that came out that was open source was ruining his life, even though he's a billionaire. So they were not going to see Photoshop. I mean, you can run it through Wine or one of these things and get it kind of to work. Or you can use GIMP. Oh, just use GIMP. GIMP's great.
That was going to be my question. I mean, you have used GIMP.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used GIMP. I've used GIMP quite a bit. And GIMP does work in some situations, but it doesn't work as well as Photoshop. It's just not as good.
Well, here's a question. Is it GIMP or GIMP?
Well, I think it's GIMP.
You don't know. It could be GIMP. I think we should keep it consistent.
I don't know anyone who calls it GIMP.
But if you create GIFs with GIMP, why isn't GIMP GIF?
Because the guy who invented the GIF, the graphics interchange format, I think it was for CompuServe, he calls it GIFs.
I understand.
And he's the one who gets to designate how it's pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just the way it is.
Anyway, so I don't know what you're working on that you need all these high-end tools for. I don't see it on your Twitter feed. What are you doing with Photoshop that you need Photoshop so desperately? Where's the output?
The output's one of my outputs is on a 4 foot by 5 foot artwork on the wall that needed Photoshop for certain specific functions, so it printed out okay.
What are you printing?
Photos that are very pretty. I've got a couple for sale. I'll put them up on the. When
I see your studio,
but you need Photoshop to do that sort of work. You can't do it on GIMP.
All right.
And also, if you're going to write a lot, the markup stuff and the things you can do with Microsoft Word, you can't do with any of the word processors.
Like what?
You can't, for example, go 10 deep on every edit made of a sentence.
But why would you even need, for your books that you're publishing? Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Well, you can say that all you want, but the fact is that if you're going to have something edited, it's nice to have an edit trail that you can follow.
Yeah, but LibreOffice has an edit trail.
It doesn't have one like these. These are better.
Well,
to further, the grammatical correction of Microsoft Word is pretty formidable. They don't do any of that on any of these other products.
Well, you should use it before you send me the newsletter, then.
It does have flaws.
I found one great tool that I just wanted to mention for Linux, which is called Notecase Pro, and it's I love outliners. My whole life is an outliner, and Notecase Pro does outliners very well, and will import and export OPML, which is what the entire No Agenda universe is based on. If you go to any page, you'll see down at the bottom, created with the Freedom Controller, little icon there, and that's the XML version of the page, which is an OPML. And so when I found that, then, because there really is no good OPML editor for any other platform. I guess Mac does have Mac does have Omni Outliner, but anyway, this Notecase Pro is very good. So I'm still on the Linux life, and I love it very much, and I see no reason to go back, especially now that I don't have to deal with Windows whirring around and doing stuff and eating up resources. And you kind of got to wonder about Microsoft winning the JEDI contract. Remember that? The big $10 billion Pentagon contract that Amazon wanted? And Amazon even had their insiders and their shills, and they still didn't get it. Microsoft got it. You got to wonder if they're doing some kind of Pentagon and or spy cloud project.
Well, let's assume so.
How tightly does Windows 10 integrate into that? Because it's just spying on you, just taking all your information. Everything you do has to go to cloud and Windows Drive and all that. No! You don't need it. And that is part of the OTG life, I think. I didn't really realize how much I would enjoy being OTG, as in not on Windows. It's very good.
Shouldn't be OTW off the Windows?
Yeah, OTW.
OTW. I'm an OTW kind of guy.
I'm all for it.
Huh? Yeah.
The California Consumer Privacy Act went into effect as of yesterday. And I'm not quite sure
My life has changed.
That's what I was going to ask you about that. If your life has changed, I'm not quite sure what it is anymore. But apparently it's sweeping. That seems to be the term everyone's using. Sweeping new data privacy law, known as the California Consumer Privacy Act. I'm not quite sure. I think you're allowed. You're supposed to be able to tell one of these companies delete my data, which would be nice if that's really what it says. I'd like to have a form letter and just send Google a note every month. Delete my data, delete my data, delete my data. But something tells me that it won't really work that way. Was there anything else of interest? Yeah, Venmo had an outage. That freaked everybody out. I guess kids use Venmo to pay bills and pay rent. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either, but just another one of those millennial things should be on the list.
And Hackaday was very clear. Flip phones are making a comeback. So once again, on the leading edge, on the tip with the No Agenda Show, with my Go Flip 3 from Alcatel. Now, of course, they're talking about the new Motorola, but you can still look cool with a flip phone.
Yeah, I'm OTG. You can't find me. Yes, I'm OTG. You can't find me. Yeah, I'm OTG. No eyes on me.
Stay safe out there in 2020, everybody. Go OTG and OTW, and you will be fine.
So here is related to the California privacy law. People, there's a clip, leaving California.
For Texas.
The nation's largest economy, California, is losing a generation of wage earners. Jane Wells joins us now from Los Angeles to explain where they're going. Jane.
Hi, Mike. Yeah, it's not just large companies like Charles Schwab leaving California. The census numbers do not lie. All kinds of young professionals, some of them making decent salaries, are leaving too. Take, for example, 30-year-old Sydney Mulkey. She was an educator in Oakland, making about $58,000. Moved to Portland, Oregon, got the same job at $70,000, allowing her to buy a brand new condo, something that never would have happened in California.
At one point, I was working 3 jobs, and I was just really tired. So that was kind of the last straw.
Small business owners Danielle and Scott Fortier moved from L.A. to Nashville because they couldn't afford to save for retirement or their kids' college funds, even though Scott was working 80 hours a week at his own business. In L.A., look at this. They owned a 3,100 square foot house on a small lot. In Tennessee, they own a larger house on 7 acres with the building to run their business out of. No state income taxes. Property taxes a third of what they were in California. Health insurance costs cut nearly in half.
We've been here about 6 months, and in that 6 months, we've already had 6 friends of ours, 6 couples, relocate to the same area also.
People have this image of all these old people who are frustrated leaving, but actually the ones who are leaving are family age people 30 to 54, that group, that's the group that's leaving.
And that's Joel Kotkin at Chapman University. Now, while millennials are leaving California, fewer are moving in. Kotkin says that could really eventually impact California's sort of entrenched culture of innovation and dreamers. And that could hurt the nation, besides the fact that we're all moving to your state and maybe driving up your prices. While it's easy for people to leave, guys, this may sound geocentric, it's really difficult to recreate that culture somewhere else from scratch. Back to you.
Yeah, we don't allow that here in Texas. You can come here. You can't recreate your culture here.
Oh, yeah, because Texas is so, especially around Austin, they're so conservative and they're all Trump supporters, and nobody's going to change that.
I have understood that depending on the results of the census, California may actually lose 1 or 2 congressional districts because so many people have left, and Texas may gain 1 or 2 districts because so many people have entered.
Probably okay. Maybe it's Adam Schiff's district.
But for sure, if you're leaving California, San Diego is a place you want to leave.
Information on a controversial decision to put cameras on nearly 3,000 streetlights in San Diego. According to its contract with the city, General Electric will own the images, audio collected with no restrictions on its use. That means anyone's personal information potentially could be bought and sold by private companies. City Attorney Mara Elliott signed the contract with GE back in 2017. The contract allows GE to install cameras on 3,000 streetlights citywide, and it also grants GE to use the data as it sees fit. The program has been criticized by some civil rights and privacy groups. Local attorney and candidate for city attorney Corey Briggs says city leaders were not properly informed about the data sharing.
It turns out that they're gathering the data. They've been giving it to the police, but they're also giving it to Wall Street with no constraints on it whatsoever.
The city attorney's office told us the contract is legal and was approved by the city council. But 3 city council members now want the mayor to stop installing those cameras until GE provides more information about how it will use the information.
How about that for some representation, city council? Nice. Sign a deal for some street lights. They just threw in some cameras as a nice little gimme. And they said, well, that's our camera, so we can do whatever we want with your face. Slave, shut up. Yes, you do need to leave California.
Yeah.
Although, who knows how, I mean, they took out the red light cameras in Texas. They tried that, tried to sneak that in.
Well, that comes and goes. It'll be back. They've had those red light cameras all over the country. I do have an ISO for about San Francisco.
Good. Okay.
This is the dead raccoon ISO from that clip. This is an RET ISO.
Only in San Francisco.
Yes. We didn't use that one? We didn't use that?
That was, remember the guy they found the dead raccoon?
I remember.
I played it. I was going to play the.
I know we played it.
No, we didn't, because the clip is so profane.
We did play the clip. We played part of it
to each other.
Well, I bet you I have the raccoon clip.
It's really bad. The guy is just cussing the whole time. It's very funny.
Actually, I don't have the raccoon clip.
I don't think I ever sent it over. Every time I wanted to send it over.
No, you're right. We played that after the show, like secret stuff, secret club stuff.
Yeah, secret club. It's gross. But it
Only
is quite
in San
fun.
Francisco.
Just look up Dead Raccoon on YouTube, Dead Raccoon in San Francisco, and you will all get to listen to this guy go on about this bum who comes in and drops a dead raccoon in a McDonald's.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have some people to thank for show 1204. 1204. Beginning with Baron Latikin. Baron Latikin, $100. Sir Jim Zuckel, $100. Is rooted in the. Okay, I got to read this. He says, as a person firmly rooted in the Gen X generation, this is about my millennial list. I have been using Dr. Bronner's soap for at least a decade. Well, first of all,
Dr. Bronner's soap. Dr. Bronner's soap.
Yeah, I pointed this out as one of the it's just a millennial thing.
Oh, right.
Dr. Bronner's soap, which is this Castile soap that doesn't, from what I can tell, it doesn't really clean anything. But Dr. Bronner's stuff is funny because he's got a lecture on every bottle about the how bad capitalism is.
Really?
Yeah. So you should get some Dr. Bronner's. Anyway, so this guy, Sir Jim, says that he's been 10 years ago is about the time where the millennials started making it popular. If you said I've been using it all my life, then I'd say, okay, you have a point. But you don't. You don't have a point because Sir Jim's probably 40 plus years old as a Gen Xer, and he's only been using it since he's 30, which is when the millennials came in.
Dr. Bronner's soap is over 150 years and 5 generations of soap excellence. I've always wanted to achieve soap excellence.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's quite the product. But there's always a lecture about something or other on there. In fact, the bottle is mostly a lecture.
I can see it. I'm just looking at some pictures.
Yeah, Sir Greg at Parts Unknown.
Niner.
99. Sir Pate in Amsterdam, 69.69.
Yeah, I'm going to do this for him later on. He says this is irregular for donations. Of course, he's a knight under associate level. I'd like to get some F cancer for my neighbor. Hopefully enough. She is undergoing cancer treatment and is waiting for the outcome of a recent scan. She's a very attractive and deliberately kind person in our community, and would all like her to stick around in sound health. So yes, we will roll that out just before we get to the knighting, Sir Pate. Consider it done.
Attractive and deliberately nice. I've never seen that.
It seems like a contradiction, right?
Never seen that.
We're going to fix her up.
Anna Merkuriev, I think, in St. Louis, Missouri, 6006. Julie Shepard in Angola, Indiana. She sent a card in I want to read because she went through all the trouble of writing a card she put 2 pictures of her dog wearing a hat. Sheltie, which is either a great dog or a lousy dog, depends. We had a Sheltie once.
What exactly is a Sheltie?
A Sheltie looks like a small collie.
How did it taste?
Like the half size of a collie. Is the same similar looking dog, long nose, a lot of long hair, very friendly, pretty dog. Always a pretty dog. But they have idiosyncrasies that don't fit in with a lot of people.
Okay.
Anyway, my dogs had a birthday last month, but since they don't know what's going on, I'm donating to the best podcast in the universe. Ta-da!
Smart move.
The dog doesn't know a birthday from anything. Any producers who know what they know that they make their dogs endure birthday hats and parties for their own enjoyment should send donations to No Agenda instead.
Yes. And, we could do dog birthdays on the show. Yeah,
minimum.
What's
$100.
What's the dog's name?
She never told us the dog's name, but she just say Merry Christmas and you need a
Dogs are people too.
Hey, doggy. Hey, doggy. Happy birthday. See, we could do that.
Give her some jobs karma at the end. This is Julie and Matt.
You got it.
And the dog's is pretty. So I'll post the pictures of the dogs in the next newsletter.
You're doxing her dogs?
Well, maybe we could start doing more dog pictures in the newsletter because we like to have pups. Must have people's pups. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, make sure she gets the job karma.
Yes.
Robert Bruckner, 5555. Jonathan Evans, 5555. Nick Secord, Redmond, Washington, 5510.
He wants a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
I'll put the jobs karma at the end for you as well.
Jobs karma for him.
Yep.
Daniel Mariano, 5510. Lynn Kessig in Newark, Delaware, 5510. Austin Wilson, two last names. Austin Wilson. He's got some thing there. 5150.
Well, he's Sir Austin, Baron of the Puget Sound, if you recall. Yes.
Oh, he's the Baron of the Puget Sound.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
We have a bunch of Puget Sounders that are vying for. There's going to be a fight. Eric Wills in Eldersburg, Maryland, $50. This is $50 name and location group. Jeremy Cartwright in Rockford, Illinois. Bradley Ledden, unknown. Michael Janoski in Lidora, Pennsylvania. Andrew Oxenham in Knoxville, Tennessee. Nice barbecue there. Brian Kinnett, Paul Contramas.
I love that. So, Tennessee. Yeah, they got this nice barbecue. You can do every town, like you have a little thing. Tennessee, yeah, they got some good music. I hear they
do. Well, that's not Knoxville. So
I hear they got good music there in Tennessee.
Paul Contramas. Well, I'm going to make that a theme now. And Aichi Kitagawa.
Hey, wait, Rockford, Illinois. They got free weed there. I hear free weed.
They do.
Well, it's legal now. It's legal.
Oh, yeah. But it probably is free. Aichi Kitagawa, one of my favorite names in San Francisco, closes this it's kind of a short segment today.
Yeah.
We want to thank all these folks for contributing to Show 1204, producing it. And I want to thank all the people with lesser amounts of money, too, for helping us get this show. The first show of the year, the new decade, the first show of the new decade, unless you're a pedant. It's the first show of the new decade.
Oh, yeah. No, here's what's going to happen. People are going to email me bitching at you. Tell John the decade's not really over yet. And I'm okay with your counting, but come on, it's media. It's 20 now. We're not saying, you know what I mean, right? Have you gotten this? I've gotten emails.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the kids.
Yeah, I know. I just ignore it. This assumes. Let's go back to the birth of Christ, the year 0.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back. So you had 1 BC, which was the year before Christ was born, or Common Era as they call it now. Then Christ was born at 0, and then a year later it was the year 1. So wait a minute. So is that so when you got to 10, it wasn't the decade until 1. Well, that's 11 years. This doesn't make any sense unless there was no year 0 and everything started with 1, which I don't think it did. I think you have a year 0. You must have a year 0.5. I don't know. Somebody should clarify this for me. If they can prove to me there was no 0, then I'll buy it.
Yes, so please email John, John, at Dvorak.org, Dvorak, Dvorak.org, Dvorak.org. Don't email me, please. Thank you to
CC Adam, though.
Yes, thank you very much to everybody who supported the show. It is your show. That's what we've been doing for 12 years. Or I guess you could say we're in our 12th year. Or was it 11th year? I don't remember. Year 0.
We're in our 13th year.
We appreciate this. It keeps us going. It keeps the whole program, the whole kit and caboodle keeps running because of the support you were showing us. And yes, indeed, people under $50 are not mentioned because a lot of them want to stay anonymous. I see you, $49.99. But there's also people on the ongoing programs. So appreciated that you do that. And even if it's $5 a month, it all makes a difference. We highly appreciate it. And we have a couple of things to take care of here business-wise. We got some jobs karma, got the F cancer karma for Sir Pate's next-door neighbor. Also, Sir Jin sent me a note, and he says he's been actively looking for a job since September, but he's fighting white male boomer discrimination, so he needs some jobs karma. And Sir Colton...
Learn the code.
Yeah, I actually think these guys know how to code. That's the beauty of it. Yes, for all of you, as requested.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And I wish I could roll out the happy birthday jingle. But we have no birthdays. 0.
Huh.
That doesn't happen very often, so.
No agenda meetups.
Yeah, Sir Chris Wilson emailed me something, and I wonder if I still have that. Shoot, I'll have it for Sunday. He emailed me something really beautiful about the meetups, and it was the verbiage, because I've been trying to get this right. You know, what exactly is it that happens at these meetups where people get together who probably would never get together, that never encounter each other in any other situation, and they voluntarily go to a bar, or it's usually a bar or some place where you can acquire a beverage and hang out with people who listen to the show. And it's not really about the show; it's just about being able to talk with someone. Give someone your opinion, listen to someone else, and no one get pissed off. It's almost like the 50s. Except then everyone was afraid to say anything, but here no one's afraid to say anything, and it's a beautiful experience. If you've never been to a meetup, go to noagendameetups.com and experience this for yourself. You can go to Amsterdam tomorrow, if you should be so lucky. The TPO podcast meetup will be there at the Café Restaurant Dauphine at 5 o'clock. You can go to Seattle, other side of the world, also tomorrow. Patrick is organizing at 7:30 in the Hopvine Pub. Check the back of the bar. Tuesday, the second biannual Knoxville meetup. I hear they got some, what do they have over there? They got music. Meet at Barley's.
Barbecue.
Great barbecue. Upstairs at the pool table, Sir Seat Sitter organizing. Then next Thursday, the No Agenda Toon Man Tour. Just to show you that you can bump into No Agenda producers everywhere. This will be in Lebanon, Beirut, and you will meet Jesse Coy Nelson, your host, at the Rabbit Hole on Makdisi Street in Beirut, Lebanon. And this is just a couple of upcoming meetups that are being organized by the producers of Gitmo Nation. It is something you should at least witness once. If you can't find one near you, then start your own. NoAgendaMeetups.com is where you can sign up for that, but also find any meetups near you in the future. And thank you, Daniel, so much for keeping that site running. It's been fantastic. All right, we do have this.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't wanna be a douchebag.
One title change, as you heard earlier, Sir Christopher upped it up once again. He has contributed another $1,000 to the No Agenda Show. And hereby is Baron of Brown County and Viscount of the Troll Room. We saw no issues. The Peerage Committee has approved. So, Sir Christopher, there you go. Your title is in and approved, and thank you very much for your courage. Now, if you could get out your blade, John, I will...
Looky here.
Whoa! Alexander Salzberg and Donald Rolfe, both of you up on the podium. Gentlemen, thank you for your support of the No Agenda Show. You have both supported us with a total amount of $1,000, which means you both get to join our knights and dames here at the No Agenda Roundtable, and I'm very proud to pronounce the Sir Alexander Salzberger. Also, Sir Afik, both of you knights of the No Agenda Roundtable. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Foie Gras and Sauterne by request, Zucchini and Meatloaf, Brisket and barrel-aged copper ale, pinball and power chords, goat chops and goat milk, Polish potato vodka, vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and Pablo Men, mutton and mead. It is the No Agenda staple. It's the favorite. Go to noagendanation.com/rings, both of you, with your newly minted knighthoods. And you'll fill out a little bit of information there. Eric the Shill will get back to you as soon as possible and send out your rings, your sealing wax, your certificate. Once you get that in, please tweet out pictures, put them in your profile, anything you can. It makes everybody look cool. And thank you for your courage and support of the best podcast in the universe. Okay.
There's something I ran into. I was watching Al Jazeera.
Yeah, I noticed.
And so apparently the Russians, this is going on, it's not in our news, but it's going on. The Russians are claiming there's some Georgian lab that is making viruses or propagating viruses and putting them in vaccines and killing people.
Really?
Yes.
This was Russia? Wait a minute. Wait, Al Jazeera is reporting, or that Russia is saying?
Al Jazeera is reporting it, and so they visited this Georgian lab, which seems innocuous. It's a virology lab that is used to determine, to test. It's for testing, not for.
Wait, this is an Alex Jones theory, putting cancer viruses in the vaccines.
Yeah. Well, this is the theory that the Russians supposedly are propagating, according to Al Jazeera. So they go visit the lab, and there was one little tidbit in here that I thought was kind of interesting because I had not heard this, and I haven't heard it on Alex Jones, although I don't listen to him that much, but I would think I'd have heard it there. But just play this one out.
We were shown inside Georgia's Luga laboratory, which detects and prevents the spread of dangerous diseases. But pro-Kremlin media claim it spreads disease, experimenting on humans with cancer, the Zika virus, killer mosquitoes, and plagues of stink bugs. I asked the laboratory's director whether there was any truth to these narratives.
But we are not making Zika virus in this laboratory.
The killer mosquitoes?
But the laboratory is... the level of the laboratory is so high that we can diagnose here the Zika, Ebola, Crimea, Congo, and many, many infection diseases.
No killer mosquitoes.
But we are not making these viruses here.
No marmorated stink bug coming from the Luga laboratory.
What?
The marmorated stink bug.
No.
I'm not a scientist, but what I have been seeing here suggests that this laboratory is exactly what the Georgian government says it is. But the Russian claims that what's going on at the Luga lab is far more sinister haven't been supported by any hard evidence.
Very odd report. So they're talking about Zika, Ebola, and then the stink bug?
The marmorated stink bug.
I'm not familiar.
Well, you look up marmorated stink bug, and apparently there's been a contamination in the mid-Atlantic U.S., for example. There's a contamination of field corn. And it's like it has something to do with some sort of spray or something that's making these bugs like propagate. Or it's something we need to start looking into.
The marmorated stink bug.
Yeah, marmor, M-A-R-M-O-R-A-T-E-D.
Finally, we found something that's lower than a podcaster.
Marmorated stink bug.
You can't get that low, even as a podcast. You marmorated stink bug.
Here's a study from APS, from the publication. Relationship between invasive brown marmorated stink bug and fumonisin contamination of field corn in the mid-Atlantic. I don't know. I never heard of this until I heard this report. I never heard of the marmorated stink bug.
No.
Our news, no. Trump, impeach.
Trump, impeach. I did get a vaccine clip since you brought up vaccines.
In Texas, authorities are warning that a traveler with measles may have unknowingly exposed others across the country. That new alert comes amid an increase in measles cases nationwide. Sam Brock is in Austin with the latest.
Tonight, an urgent health alert from Texas after a passenger infected with measles passed through the Austin airport last week after traveling in Europe. It's Travis County's first detected case in 20 years.
We're trying to get on top of this, share as much information as we can to try to really contain this.
The passenger left from Austin International Airport on December 17th, but then proceeded to go to airports in Chicago and Virginia, meaning that other passengers in not one, not two, but 3 different airports were potentially exposed. This after separate cases at LAX and Denver International Airports earlier this month. But health experts say Austin is at greater risk because of low vaccination rates of children.
Austin, unfortunately, is one of the epicenters of the anti-vaccine movement in America.
A startling study earlier this year estimates one infected person could lead to an outbreak of more than 400 cases in Austin. With nearly 1,300 confirmed cases of the measles nationwide this year, more than 3 times the number last year, the highly contagious virus can linger in the air for hours. Symptoms include cough, rash, fever, and sore eyes. Tonight, doctors say it's another stark reminder to get vaccinated. Sam Brock, NBC News, Austin.
I live in Austin. I get around. I listen to the radio. I read the papers. I haven't heard shit about this. No one is panicked or talking about measles outbreaks.
So this story has been just created out of thin air. You would know. Your foot's on the ground.
And certainly when it comes to vaccinations, I'd be paying attention. I also don't think Austin is ground zero of the anti-vax movement. Are you kidding me?
That.
Of course not. We're a bunch of libtards here. I said it.
You said it.
I said it. It's true.
It's true. Well, since we're talking about Texas, to get that out of the way, we have to talk about the shooting that is being so miscovered by the media.
Oh, the church shooting?
They don't know how to deal with this.
Well, of course. It didn't go as it's supposed to go. This was all wrong.
What happened, and if you watch any YouTube videos where there's actually somebody objectively telling you what happened, that guy comes in with a shotgun. I'll just summarize. I do have a clip of the latest kind of phony baloney way to try to present this to the public. They want to present it. The media's decided, well, the guy was shot down by a security guard. But this guy wasn't a security guard. He was just one of the parishioners who happened to be with 7 or 8 other parishioners coming out of their seats with gun in hand.
Did you see that slow-mo video of everybody like poof, poof, poof? It's like all these guns coming out all of a sudden.
There were guns coming out every which way, and the media was not going to present it that way. They just weren't going to do it. They weren't going to present it honestly, is what I have to say.
But also, so this guy, I think he was already in the church. He stands up.
I have that clip. Let's play that clip because that's
Here tonight about that deadly church shooting in Texas. The minister now claiming they had past incidents with the shooter. The church sometimes giving him food, but he would get mad when they wouldn't give him money. Witnesses saying the gunman came in wearing a wig and a fake beard before opening fire. ABC's Marcus Moore in Texas again tonight.
Tonight, new details are emerging about the suspect in Sunday's deadly attack on this Texas church. The church's pastor telling the Christian Chronicle the gunman had been to the church before, saying, quote, "We've helped him on several occasions with food," adding that the suspect would get mad when they wouldn't give him cash. Keith Kananen, who witnesses said was wearing a fake beard and dark coat, gunned down 67-year-old Richard Wright and 64-year-old Tony Wallace before a hero congregant killed him. The entire incident captured on the church's live stream.
I mean, I got a lot of conspiratorial emails about it. Like, that's coincidence. That angle of the video is too coincidental. I was like, no, this actually happens. People are nuts. But luckily, another one for the good guys. Maybe people will think twice. And there was a recent change in the law here in Texas where you are allowed to carry a gun in a place of worship, which of course,
How can we even allow that? And, well, there you go. Coincidentally, it turns out to be a reasonably good thing. Although 2 people did die. 2 guys who were also trying to stop this gunman got shot and killed. And pretty much point blank shot in the face with a shotgun. So it's not all pretty.
But in a normal situation, run by liberals and
we'd be gun control immediately. We got to take away guns.
There'd be one guy come in, no one would have a gun in the church instead of like in Texas where you had at least 7 with guns ready to shoot the guy, and nobody just shot randomly either. They just, once the guy was down, he was down. You'd have a massacre. There'd be 10 people shot dead before this guy was stopped.
Right.
So 2 guys got killed, but in fact it was not as bad as it, and it got, this is a good lesson for people. People in Texas who want to go shoot up a church, they may run into this problem. They're not going to get very far. But let's don't report it like that. And I tell you, most of the reports were the guy was a security guard somehow. I don't know how they make that up, but okay.
Well, he is in the business.
Well, he's the one that,
he is, and he's
but
a
he wasn't
firearms
they made
instructor.
It sound like the church had a security guard working for him.
Well, even if they did, what difference? It
doesn't make any difference. But that's the way they could palm it off as a report that the security guard, not all these armed parishioners,
right,
are responsible for the killing. They downplayed the fact that there was about 10 people. Well, there's probably more people that didn't pull their guns out.
To be honest, though, I'm really sick and tired of, because the media, only one media did play this, and that was Fox. And all they could say over and over again is, see, a good guy with a gun beat a bad guy with a gun. It's like, it's just disgusting just to say they're right. I hate Fox News.
Do you have a clip of that? Because I never heard that.
Oh my God. It was the whole day. Starting with Fox and Friends in the morning, all the way through Tucker Carlson at night.
Well,
yeah, it's.
I agree with you. It's they're beating the drum.
Yeah,
but did they? The mainstream wasn't playing it that way.
No, well, Fox News is also the mainstream, even though they like to say they're not. They like to talk about.
They're not. But Fox News per se, when you watch Fox News, is a cable channel.
Yeah,
there's no network news on Fox. They could put one on. Hey,
well, they
could take.
They did Brett Baier. He tries to do some news.
Brett Baer,
whatever his name is.
Brett Baier. They could put Brett Baier. They could put him on to compete with ABC, NBC, and CBS, but they don't do it. So Fox News is still kind of, playing the cable game. They won't.
Well, they've got to. That's where their ratings are. Their ratings are in playing to a right-wing base. Is what it is.
Let's just go back to your basic thesis. They're a bunch of Democrats.
Well, sure.
Why don't they put? There's Fox stations in every market, just like there is here. There's one. Channel 2 is a Fox station, and when 5:30 or 6:30 comes around, when all the networks are playing their half an hour of news, Fox hasn't got anything. It's just some local programming. Why don't they take that Brett Baer guy and put him on a half-hour real network show?
Honestly, I'd rather watch a stupid game show because none of it's news. None of it.
I'm asking you a serious question. Why don't they do that? That's not the
because
reason.
They're making more money. First of all, that's not all their stations. Fox News is not the same as your local Fox station. That's just not the same thing. So you can't just take Brett Baer
really?
and then
who owns the Fox station and who owns Fox News?
A lot of there are other companies who own Fox affiliates. It's not just
there's companies
Fox.
that own CBS and NBC affiliates, and they can drop the network news if they want to too. They're independents, but they have affiliation with CBS. What's the difference? Why
because they can't produce a good product, and no one can. It's you're talking about I'm not going to argue. This is stupid. It's all stupid. It's all horrible. They make more money putting some stupid entertainment show against counter programming against the news. That's why it's done.
Well, that would have to be the reason, unless they don't want to.
Well, I think you should take your grievance to 20th Century Fox.
Well,
or ESPN, whoever owns it now.
No, I think it's News Corp or it's part of News Corp. I don't know who owns them. The 20th Century Fox is now owned by someone else. Disney.
I have some good news for you. Since this is your beat, you have been very adamant about people not hiring social justice warriors and not bringing that into your organization. Correct?
Because it's toxic. Yeah.
Right. In fact, we even had an animated No Agenda video about that very topic. And I got a nice note from one of our producers who says, I just had an interview for a company, and they basically screened me to see if I was a social justice warrior crybaby. Here was the question. Do you find South Park funny or offensive? That's a very good question for this type of interview, I'd say. And my reply, our producer writes, both. And I explicitly told them that I'm not one of those easily offended people. I got hired. And he's 47.
Wow.
Yeah. He's 47. I'm usually the one people cry about, a no bullshit type. My experience is a lot of younger people go out of their way to avoid any conflict or debate on any topic. And social media only exists to enable everyone to provide positivity, not for real socialization. Yes, of course. But that's a good question to find out where someone stands in life. Funny or offensive? South Park, funny or what do you think, John? Have you ever found South Park to be offensive at any point in time?
I think it's totally offensive, and that's why it's so funny.
Exactly. I don't think I've ever been offended.
Rick and Morty's the same way. It's incredibly offensive. And funny.
And
the newer ones.
Exactly. Just like the No Agenda show. Incredibly offensive, but oh so funny. And you learn about the world at the same time. So that's pretty good.
I'm going to have to come up with some. I think we should develop a questionnaire.
That's a great idea.
Could be used as a that people could use, that legally use.
Yeah, legally key phrase. Yes.
To make sure to keep these SJWs out.
All right. I like that. And we'll have that for you on Sunday. I'm sure of it. I will remind John every day until then. Coming up on
that's going to work.
Coming up on NoAgendaStream.com right after this fine program, A Work Through the Mind, the New Year's resolution, Sir Billy Bones on the No Agenda Stream. For end of shows, clips, mixes, we have for you Donald Winkler and, of course, the Drone Again by request. It's coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas. FEMA Region 6 on all governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're celebrating the new decade. Let's make it a great decade for No Agenda. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos and such.
We need to kill them. We need to kill them. Bomb them. Bomb them. Bomb them. And bomb them again, eh? To kill them. We need to kill them. Bomb them, and bomb them again, eh? And bomb them again, eh? Bomb them, and bomb them again, eh? And bomb them again, eh? Bomb them, and kill them. Bomb them, and kill them. Bomb them again. Bomb them again. We need to kill them. Bomb them again. Bomb them again. We need to kill them and bomb them again.
Just take your medicine. Just take your medicine.
flying over Afghanistan. Or maybe it was Pakistan. I promised myself to aim myself at every woman, child, and man. That was on my list. I don't care if I missed. I'm remote controlled. I do what I'm told by someone at a computer. Obama gave me a push, more than Bush, and I cost millions. I'm supposed to target terrorists, but not so much civilians. I don't know what to say. Whoops, some got in my way. A drone again, naturally. A drone again, naturally.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Only in San Francisco.
Hey everybody, this is your favorite neighborhood alien, Zindu. You're listening to the No Agenda stream, the best stream on planet Earth. Ha 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 ha.
No Agenda Live. High quality podcasts. You're listening to the No Agenda stream.
And hello, people of the internet. How's it going? How you doing? Happy New Year. This is a walk through the mind. I'm Billy Bones. A moment where we can sit down, hang out, chit-chat, discuss a handful of ideas that have been bouncing around inside my head, and see if we can't go out, take those talking points, and maybe get ourselves a conversation starter going on down the road. Friends, family, person at the grocery store, coffee shop attendant, whoever you happen to be chit-chatting with that day. Happy New Year's, like I said. Happy 2020. Made it another revolution around the sun. Time to reset those financial books. Square away all our Christmas spending. Get ready to spend that first month paying off all those Christmas bills. Woo-wee! But New Year's, time when we get to say 2019 is over. That was a hot mess of a year, or maybe that was a fantastic year for you. Did you get everything accomplished that you wanted to get done? What do you want to get done this year in 2020? You going to go to the gym? You going to quit drinking, quit smoking? What change are you going to make? Are you going to do a better job to save some money? You're going to spend more money. A lot of people don't do New Year's resolutions. They find them to be silly. I fall into that category every now and again, picking more or less what seems to be an arbitrary day outside of when we go out and buy new calendars, and we decide that we're going to fix something, we're going to change something. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the very first day of the year, but it always seems like a good idea. And I know there's some statistic out there that say gym memberships skyrocket in January, and by the end of February, those new subscriptions, those new memberships are either gone, or you put them on the credit card and the gym just keeps collecting that money and you never go. Becomes a tough thing, something like that. Wanting to go to the gym, make sure you're healthy and fit, as should everybody. To some level, way, shape, or form. I'm not telling you how to live your life. You do you. But I think something like going to the gym, you kind of need a support group, unless you're strong-willed enough. Your resolution is there. You are going to change you. You know, there's that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can go to the gym, and if you're not feeling it, if it's not for you, it's easy to fall out of it. I feel, though, that if you get some sort of support structure in something like going to the gym or quitting alcohol, quitting smoking, you get someone to team up with you, and you both are going to do it. Gym is an easy example, though. Every day, 6 a.m., You and your buddy show up and work out for an hour. And you don't have to press the hardest weights. As long as you're getting in there and exercise and you got to raise that heart rate just a little bit. Get that motivation in you. Teamwork, a little bit of teamwork. Make it go a lot better. But we're out here, again, in New Year's, trying to improve ourselves. It's something that I heard from Darren Grimes of Grimerica say the other day. He quoted a author, Lao Tzu. The quote was, "If you are depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present." And I feel that's kind of fitting for New Year's as I bounce around on topics, on ideas. But as we hit New Year's, we have some depression about the past, something that we don't like, something that we want to change. At some point, we may feel that we failed or have underachieved. And so we make that resolution to change, to improve. And yet when we look to the future, we have this anxiety that if we don't improve, we're going to be stuck in that same rut that we've been stuck in. And at some point, we need to sit here and be at peace with ourselves, be comfortable in the skin we're in, the lot in life that we've been given. Just like at a hand in cards, what you're dealt is what you're dealt, and that's what you have to work with. Can't really go into the deck and start picking out cards that you want to use. But again, these resolutions, these depressing thoughts and anxiety thoughts to improve our lot in life should be there as a motivator, something to get us going, get that ball rolling, as usual here in the Walk Through the Mind. Got to embrace our own personal willpower. How much do you want to change? How much do you want to improve? No one can really force you to improve yourself. Like I said, you got to get that team or that personal motivation. You really have to want to change, to improve. Again, that's usually what the improvisation of, I guess that's not the right word, but again, we want to improve our lot in life. We want something better. I guess it doesn't necessarily always have to be better. I know one of the New Year's resolutions I had years ago, just to make one that I knew I could fulfill, was to go see more concerts than I had the previous year. Previous year of whatever it was, might have been 1 or 2 concerts, and I know I had a blast at them. And so the next year, I wanted to make sure I saw more than just 2. And I think that following year I saw about 7. Definitely wasn't on the cheap side, but I wanted to expand my mind. I wanted to expand my experiences, see what concerts were all about. I know that since then, I haven't been to as many concerts or live performances per year, but it did feel like a good accomplishment at the end of the year to follow through on the promise I set forth for myself. Now, what promises can I make for myself this year? I got a handful. I know that this last year, like I said last week, I worked way too many hours than I wanted to work. The money has been nice. It was nice to clean up some finances and be able to pay for some stuff. But the toll on my work, life balance, my ability to think for myself at the end of the week was greatly diminished. The physical exhaustion on my body was a lot. So I know one thing that's going to change this year is I'm going to work on taking a handful more days off, take a little bit more time for myself. I know I'm going to float the river a lot more this year. Definitely going to make that a priority for myself as a reward for how much I worked this last summer. I've got some home improvement projects that need to be completed. Not sure how that's going to work out with me working less hours, but need to get those done. Hopefully I can get those done in 2020. I also know that I didn't make enough music, both for this podcast here and other podcasts that I try and support. All those little things kind of add up. Like I said, when I don't have my life and work balance, personal life work balance equalized. Those are a handful of things. Those would have been on my mind to try and again complete by the end of 2020. What New Year's resolutions do you have? Again, are you going to the gym? Are you going to quit alcohol or cigarettes? Those are the 3 big popular ones. Are you going to go to school? Are you going to go find that job that pays just enough? Are you going to work your 40 hours at work and then spend another 20 hours a week at school? Finish up that degree? Use that college degree to go get yourself an even better job that you're working fine 45, 50 hours a week, but you're getting paid good money. And again, it all falls down to that ability to apply that willpower, the personal willpower, the personal attention, the attitude to complete it, the drive, the nerve to follow through on your convictions. Now, don't set the goal too high. Set it to something you know you can attain, or maybe put it just past your ability to attain. Some sort of just extra goal. Push yourself. And when you get there, the reward is worth it most of the time. Sometimes you sit there, you climb all the way to the top of the mountain. You're like, why? Why did I do this one? But then you look back on it, and you can sit there and go, well, I did this, so why can't I do that? A little bit of conviction goes a long way. And you should be better for it. And you know what? Even if you get to the end of your goal, or real close to it by the end of the year, and it takes you an extra month, takes you into February 2021, you're a lot closer than when you started here and now. But that's it. Nice, short, sweet, fun, hopefully. I'm Billy Bones. BILLYBON, the number 3S. You find me on Twitter at Billy Bones. You find me on the website as well, BILLYBON, the number 3S.com. There's past episodes. There's a link to the Discord. There's even a link for an email. Let me know. Join the conversation. Share your New Year's resolutions. See if we can start a team ourselves and get that positive vibe going. And this podcast works on the value for value model. If you found any value out of it, I'd appreciate some value in return. Whatever you found value out of it. At the very least, give the podcast a share, but if you found financial value out of this, you're welcome to donate. You go to the website, you scroll all the way down, and click that value for value button. It'll take you to PayPal. Drop a buck or two or whatever you feel it's worth. But I'll talk to you next week. And I wish you luck on those resolutions. Love you guys.
This is Nick the Rat, and I love the No Agenda Stream, the best podcast, information, and entertainment stream in all streamdoms. There's a lot of streams out there, but this is the best.
All I want is to hear you calling out to me again.
I've been stringing you along. I apologize today. You know my head still ain't right, and I can't see here and say everything will be alright. I'm falling hard.
So long, my friend. It's been a ride I shall never forget. After all this time, I have nothing to say but goodbye.
Podcasts around the clock. This is the No Agenda Stream.
The Safari Park.
You're killing me, Larry!
Hello, Larry.
Hello, Larry! Hats off to Larry!
Larry. Fucking Larry.
Larry.
Larry!
Larry, get into bed now.
The sound of New Year's. So predictable. Except that last couple of sounds, although a few movies have capitalized on the contrast of New Year's partying and disaster. That's kind of fun, when shit goes sideways or upside down. That was literally the case in the disaster movie The Poseidon Adventure, where it's New Year's Eve on some gigantic cruise ship, and at the stroke of midnight the fucking thing capsizes. Suddenly, everybody's hanging onto the chandeliers as the ocean starts to flood the ship. Happy New Year. By the way, radio legend Don Imus is dead. I have some personal remembrances of Don, and I'll get to them in a little bit. But first, while I do dig Christmas, I'm kind of a New Year's Grinch. I guess that's no secret. Somebody posted a very funny GIF. And that's GIF, by the way, not Jif. Jif is peanut butter. Somebody posted this GIF from Forrest Gump with legless, wheelchair-bound Gary Sinise's face just peering over the top of a cocktail bar as a New Year's party rages behind him. Gary looks miserable. So somebody posted that GIF with the tag, "Come on, Larry." It is funny, but a bit of an exaggeration. I like a fun party. I've thrown a few that got going so good they were shut down by the cops. But the New Year's thing never lights my jets because it kind of sort of falls under the category of what a friend of mine once called forced gaiety. This woman and I worked together. No, we were not involved, just friends. And several times a year, our massive corporate employer would have off-site meetings or client schmooze fests where everyone was supposed to have the time of their lives, while simultaneously being on their best behavior, drinking hardly anything, stroking surly clients, and kissing bosses' asses. And one evening, as we walked into some festive hotel ballroom together, she turned to me and said, through a clenched teeth Joker-style smile, "Ready for some forced gaiety?" The TV New Year's parties always get me. If we're having the time of our lives, why the fuck are we watching TV? Maybe if it was just some background noise to the orgy you're involved in, okay. But do you really want to make Ryan Seacrest or Anderson Cooper a part of your orgy? And why, 7 years after his death, is it still Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve? Dick must have had a hell of a contract. I bet his heirs are very happy about this. Not to throw rocks at Dick, however, like Imus. I knew Dick a little bit, and he was a very nice guy, and he really set the bar for professional broadcasting. We could use a few more guys with his class. For a week or two now, we've been bombarded by two things. Retrospectives, which, face it, is mostly a recap of everyone famous who croaked in the past year, and predictions for the next year. In general, I am not a fan of New Year's. Even as a small kid, I remember my parents letting me and my older brother stay up to watch that stupid ball drop in Times Square and staring at the TV and the crowds of hundreds of thousands of people standing out in the cold, sometimes in the sleet, wearing idiotic hats with elastic chin straps. Another thing that drives me nuts, hats with chin straps, and goofy Elton John-style glasses with the year spelled out. And then the big countdown as the ball slid down a pole, and then all I could think, then as now, was the line from the Peggy Lee song, "Is that all there is?" I mean, what the fuck is supposed to happen when the hand on the clock takes one tiny tick past 12, and 1 year, or 1 decade, or 1 millennium, as we had 20 years ago, suddenly morphs into the next? And it invariably culminates in the shittiest song ever written in the history of the world, Auld Lang Syne. And we say the dumbest shit about New Year's as it relates to our lives, like 2019 or insert any year was awful, 2020 is going to be much better, as if fate can read a goddamn calendar. And then the predictions, ooh, the seers and psychics and oracles of every stripe. And so many people buy into them, like blind Bulgarian mystic Baba Vanga. Don't you love that name? Baba Vanga, on you and your whole family. The name does sound like a curse. Baba Vanga is said to have predicted 9/11 and Brexit, and has foretold trouble and darkness for the year ahead. They dubbed her the Nostradamus of the Balkans. That's a red flag right there. Nostradamus was full of shit. Baba has several predictions for the coming year: that there will be an assassination attempt on Vlad Putin from within the Kremlin. She thinks Donald Trump will fall ill with a mysterious illness, which will leave him deaf and with a brain tumor. But then, she made those same predictions for 2019. Another forecast she has is the destruction of Asia. That's a biggie. That's more than half the world population. That ought to brighten up the faces of those climate change sourpusses, huh? 4 billion fewer people would certainly lower the carbon footprint. Baba Vanga says a meteorite will fall on Russia, but she doesn't say how big it will be. Maybe it'll be pebble-sized, and that's the one that will pop Putin in the Kremlin. Baba Vanga has fan pages that claim she has 85% accuracy. But what you must really dig to find is the fact that Baba Vanga has been dead for nearly 10 years. And there's no record of her predicting her own demise. I have my own predictions for 2020. the world will continue to rotate and revolve. The sun will shine, rain will fall, babies will be born, and people will die. Same as always. Now back to Don Imus. If you were alive anywhere from the mid-70s through 2018 and living in the United States, you probably heard Don Imus. He just died last week, and it was one of the bigger celebrity passings of the year. When I was in college, I interviewed Imus for a magazine. I did not know Imus or anybody who knew him. I didn't know he probably had an agent and a press agent. I just called the studio line and waited and finally got through to somebody and told them what I was after, and amazingly, they put me through to, as he later came to be called, the I-Man. And just like that, he said okay, and told me to come to the studio in a few days. So before dawn, I got on a subway train in Queens and took it to one of the most famous addresses on the globe, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, home of Saturday Night Live, Johnny Carson, Jimmy Fallon, and countless other monsters of entertainment. In the lobby was a security guard at a desk. I told him I was there to interview Don Imus. The guy looked at me like I was bullshitting. He picked up a phone, punched a few numbers. Then he said my name and mangled it. It sounded as if he told Imus Harry Wagner was here to see him. Then he hung up the phone, looked at me and said, "Mr. Imus says he doesn't know you." Ooh. At that moment, echoing through my mind were two words that have been my companions as long as I can remember. Now what? How do I get past this idiot with a red blazer and square badge? For a moment, I thought maybe Imus was an asshole and decided I wasn't worth his time. Maybe he'd forgotten about our meeting. Maybe he thought I'd been pranking him and had pranked me in return. It was around 6:30 a.m. Even the early bird office workers had yet to show up. The place was deserted, but for a square badge and some maintenance guy pushing one of those big floor polishers across the marble. On the walls around me were massive murals of presumably the workers building the structure in which I stood. The style of art was weird and ominous, like Karl Marx meets Michelangelo. There I stood, with a cheap cassette recorder under my arm, a pen and notebook in my pocket in case the recorder failed, and a 35mm camera hanging from my shoulder. Against a far wall was a bank of public phones. I had some change in my pocket. I had no inside number for Imus, hadn't thought to ask him for one. I had to call the same number the entire tri-state area used when trying to call him. It seemed hopeless, but I'd come this far. I punched in the digits. Incredibly, he picked up. There was no mistaking his voice. He had a classic radio voice. I told him my name, and he said,
"Where the fuck are you?"
I told him what had just happened with the security guy, and his reply was,
"You tell that security moron to let you up here, I'll come down there and punch his fucking face."
Then he hung up. Despite my apprehension, I could not stop laughing, and I fully intended to repeat Imus's instructions to the square badge, verbatim. As I walked back to the elevators, that same security guy had the phone to his ear, and he was saying, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." He looked at me and said, "Go right up, sir. Mr. Imus is expecting you." As I stood in the elevator, I wondered what the hell had just happened. Had the security guy only pretended to call Imus? Or had Imus been fucking with both of us? I'll never know. When I got off the elevator, a very pretty girl was waiting for me, and she walked me to the studio, which was big and plush and awe-inspiring. Sitting behind a microphone was arguably the biggest radio personality in the world. Sure, there were other big names in radio in other big markets around the country, but none were soon to be syndicated nationally like Imus. None had smashed the AM radio format of meaningless patter, time and weather checks between talking in top 40 hits. Only Imus was saying outrageous things. The guy was indisputably a pioneer. When I walked into the studio, Imus was talking into the mic. He nodded at me, and he hooked a cowboy boot around the leg of a wheeled chair and pulled it near and pointed to it. I sat down. He chain-smoked. His brand was L&M. For several hours I sat there and watched him talk over 50,000 clear channel watts to millions of people. For much of the time, tourists would file past the thick glass window of the studio. The hot women he would wave to or blow kisses. The guys he'd ignore. To a few, he flipped the bird. The same girl who brought me into the studio occasionally came by, and each time Imus would eyeball her from head to toe. She would giggle. Such behavior was not only okay, it was expected. They were paying the dude to be outrageous, weren't they? And she really didn't seem to mind. She seemed to enjoy the attention. As I sat there watching him work, I soon realized it was all shtick. Sometimes when a song played, he'd tip his chair back, put his boots up on the console, his hands behind his head, and close his eyes. I think he was recharging himself for the next quarter hour. I snapped a bunch of pictures, asked him some questions, but didn't feel like I'd done much of an interview. And suddenly, he was playing his outro theme, and the show was over. As if he'd read my mind, he said, "That wasn't much of an interview. Follow me." And so I followed him into a big conference room. He sat down and said, "Go ahead, ask me anything you want." And I said, "Okay, how much do they pay you?" He answered, "A lot more than you'd imagine, and a lot less than I want, you nosy fuck." I just about fell off my chair. I'd had the flu a couple weeks before and still had a lingering cough. My laughing triggered a coughing fit, and as it subsided, Imus asked, "Do you have tuberculosis?" Well, that only made me laugh harder, and more coughing. He said something about maybe I was malnourished, and then told me we were going to his restaurant, where he was going to buy me lunch. We took the elevator to the street, and right there at the curb was his custom van. I guess it was a promotional gimmick. It was black and had stained glass windows on the sides and in back. One of his stock characters was the Reverend Billy Saul Hargis from Del Rio, Texas, the golden buckle of the Bible Belt. The van had a vanity plate, might have been Hargis, I'm not sure. The rear bumper was designed like a prayer kneeler. As we walked to his restaurant, fans shouted and shook his hand and asked for his autograph. He was a first-rate celebrity. At his place, of course, we got the red carpet treatment. I ordered a massive cheeseburger. I don't recall what his choice was. He was a hell of a lot of fun, always cracking jokes, flirting with the waitresses. As I recall, he greeted the maitre d' by saying, "Good afternoon, Bug-Eye." Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Imus was a photography buff, and he had a big Nikon camera. And before we hit the street for the restaurant, we stopped in the lobby. There was a store there, and he bought a bunch of film. And as the guy was plucking the rolls off the shelves, Imus was shooting him in the head with rubber bands. As we ate lunch, he asked me about school and what my life was like, and he always had a funny comment. He didn't need a script. He didn't need a writer. He was the real deal. Lunch went by even faster than his show. Imus told me he'd had fun hanging with me. How's that for class? Then he reached into a satchel he carried. He pulled out a manila envelope. Inside was a glossy 8x10 of himself holding a microphone. It looked like it had been taken at a club where he was doing stand-up. He scribbled on the picture, stuffed it back in the envelope, and handed it to me. We walked outside onto the street. He shook my hand and wished me luck. He was very genuine, no star bullshit. He stepped into a taxi and disappeared. I opened the envelope, slid out the picture. It said, "Hey Larry, here's hoping you get lots of pussy when you grow up. Don Imus." Every radio guy, every talk show host, from Howard Stern to this podcaster, owes something to Don Imus. Before him, radio was mostly formulaic bullshit, where job number one was to be inoffensive. Somehow, Imus pissed off people in droves and still was massively successful. He became quite a philanthropist. His charity of choice was kids with cancer. And he didn't just put his money where his mouth was. He opened his heart and his home and ran a ranch in New Mexico that helped many such kids over the years. And now he's gone. But not forgotten. I liked him. A lot. Somewhere I have that picture Imus gave me, as well as the magazine story and some shots of him in the studio. Maybe if I get enough pressure from you, I'll put on my miner's helmet and dig him up, post him on the show page, which is, by the way, thatlarryshow.com. You can swing by there and subscribe to this show. If you really like it, you can click the Patreon button and support the show, while you get access to dozens of bonus episodes, signed books, custom recordings, and more. I'll be back next Tuesday with part 1 of my amazing interview with another legend, John McAfee, centimillionaire, digital pioneer, madman extraordinaire, and global fugitive. John told me things he has told no one else, so don't miss it. Until that time, Happy New Year, and take no shit. Especially you, Don, wherever you are.
I am Imus in the morning, and it's 5 minutes past the hour. Coming up this morning, man, it's going to be a great show this morning. Well, it will be a great show.
You going home?
You are listening to the No Agenda stream, where freedom lives and censorship comes to get its ass kicked.
Deep shit when speed kicks creeps in with the heat check. Bartholomew, I sleep shit. Heathcliff, pick up the pieces. Thesis is the feces. Like my pizzas and my sneakers, both deep dish. AMG kid speed shift on the V6. So my penis under base, arm like speed stick. Japanese dish chick thicker than Freaknik. Cover the moons, that's a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Y'all don't want beef, not even beef tips. Go gluten free, start eating vegan. Same sequence from beginning to the end. Only change strange and sequence. That New Year's Eve trim. My resolution is 15. Your revenue spitting 16s, I'm hoping we shrink. Got niggas bumping like a bee sting, motherfucking bee sting, but it's with a heat chain. And if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. I said, if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. And if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. I said, if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. 11, 12, heaven help me, cause by the PM dawn, I'm on my second spell. FML, me medicine with no record sales. Nothing left to tell, just epic tales of epic tale. Baby head from Becky, ain't she a messy girl? Chucking meth doesn't do black girls like SNL. I know the check's in the mail, that's why I check it still. Fuck it, the effort is there, it's nothing less than skill. Stereo to my burial, how you rappers carry on, reading off material like it's karaoke. That's low key embarrassing. I'm that fat nigga that's crossed over like stereo. Snapping like a Maryland terrapin. Every time I'm American, fuck it, let's get it in. Got niggas bumping like a bee sting, motherfucking bee sting, but it's for the beat chain. And if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. I said, if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. And if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. I said, if you fucking with speed kicks, put your hands up where the fuck I can see them. your hands up where the fuck I can see them.
The No Agenda Show with Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. Live every Sunday and Thursday, 12 p.m., 11 Central. On NoAgendaStream.com.
This GI divorced her hair with her father encouraged it. Hi, welcome back to World of the Psychic. I'm Peter Venkman. I'm chatting with my guest, author, lecturer, and psychic, Milton Angland. Milt, your new book is called The End of the World. Now, can you tell us when it's going to be, or do we have to buy the book?
Well, I predict that the world will end at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve.
This year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cutting it a little bit close, isn't it? I mean, just from a sales point of view, I mean, your book is just coming out. You're not going to see any paperback sales for at least a year. It'll be at least another year before you know whether you've got the miniseries or movie of the week kind of possibilities. I mean, just devil's advocate, Milty. I mean, shouldn't you have said, hey, the world's going to end in 1992?
Wait a minute.
Or better
Hey,
yet,
this-
1994?
This is not just some money-making scheme, all right? I have a strong psychic belief that the world will end on New Year's Eve.
Well, for your sake, I hope you're right.
Welcome to a brand new goddamn decade, everybody, of Nick the Rat Radio. This is Nick the Rat Radio coming to you live from the year 2020. I feel like I'm in some sci-fi movie saying that. It is January 1st, 2020. And we're up to episode, oh, holy crap, 211 or some crap. Yeah, it's like 211. We're just trekking our way through the entire goddamn year. Yeah, we're gonna have a great loop, great 2020. I can feel it in the bones of my ancestors because apparently it is the year of the rat. So I got that going for me too. Ow. You know, it's gonna be a big year for me. I could feel it in at least one of my bones. The chubbiest one I got. We're going to have a great show for everybody tonight. We're going to be going over last year's predictions, seeing how many were correct and right, and then we're going to be going over this year's predictions for the year to come. Yeah, we're taking live calls for predictions of this year coming. We're going to take dead callers too, if you got a phone line in your cemetery. I guess I should do some drinking. Well, I don't got a cup, but I got this bottle of wine over here. I had 240 ounces of Old English last night to ring in the new year as my balls were dropping. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good year, in retrospect. But we're not going to do a retrospective of last year because I don't remember what happened yesterday, which was last year. So how am I supposed to do that? I don't know. But let me get this aluminum foil out of here so I don't get cut up on this jug of wine that we're going to be enjoying. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, let's go right into a song. And then when we come back, we're going to have all of our last year's predictions. I have them all listed out. We're going to go over to see how accurate we were. And then hopefully we'll be accurate again this year, or more accurate than last year. We could take we'll get all the numbers down. We'll do the science. We'll do the math. It's gonna be pretty cool. I want to see what the first prediction is actually of last year's. Let me just go to the list. Wow, that's a lot of them. Holy crap. Okay. The first prediction that we made last year was the stock market will drop. The Dow will drop below 20,000. It was currently at 24 to 22,000. The last time it was below 20,000 was in January of 2017. So let's go to the Dow and let's see what we're doing. Dow and a dollar symbol. And we are doing poorly in the predictions because it's at like 28.5 now. So hopefully the rest of our predictions are closer than that, but that's a good prediction to be wrong on because we got 401ks down inside the sewer. You know, we got to keep those growing. So let's listen to some music while we hope that the next set of predictions were actually true. The Dow. I was waiting for the day when I reacted to... oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait. I'm confused. Are you the Dow Odd Denim? Now, oh, fuck. Let's listen to Ann Moore, Ignition. Let's...
Look out into the stars. What do you see? A jumbled mess? Or the place you call home?
Do you want to go for a ride? Then call yourself a cab. It's time for Nick the Rat Radio, only on the Dark Sewer Network.
It's true. We're only on the Dark Sewer Network, but we're also on the No Agenda Network right now as well. We're on several networks. Our networks are spreading like an octopus. A hydra. Hail Hydra. Wait, no, never mind. Let's look at some other predictions that we made last year and see if they came true. So the second one on the list we have is Rangers will win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's possible. Did the Rangers win anything last year? Let's see. Let's just type in. I actually should have did more research for this. So let's just do Rangers win in Google and go to the news and see the last bit of news that we see. Why is my phone talking to me?
Because it loves you.
I guess it does. My phone, it's answering me. It looks like no Rangers won anything recently. So I guess we were wrong on that prediction as well. That's a pretty rough one. Let's try another prediction here. We have number 3, feces in Minnesota will not be identified as Bigfoot's feces. I guess that might have come true. Sure, there was a lot of feces found in Minnesota, and none of it was identified as Bigfoot. So I'm going to say that might be a hit. That might be a hit. This next one's kind of interesting. We have Chinese CRISPR baby is actually fake news, but it looks like that's real news. I think that guy's going to be going to jail for a while, but he is going to jail for reasons unknown. They're like, he broke a law. We don't know what law he broke is, but he will be punished. He might go to jail for a couple of years. Let's see another prediction that we have over here. We got number 5. DC Comics. Oh yeah. I remember that the prediction number 5 was like Detective Comics will drop the extra comics part because it's DC Detective Comics. They call it DC Comics. And then also a prediction that they would make a good Superman movie, which did not happen. But Henry Cavill is in The Witcher now, so I guess that's the best thing that could have happened for Superman. It's a good show. I've been enjoying it. Let's see some more predictions that we made last year. Number 6, China will make bug meat. I don't know what kind of prediction that is. I'm sure there's been some huge bug meat stuff going on. That might be true. Chinese bug meat. Let's see what Google has to say about that here. Plant-based meats have huge potential in China, but Beijing wants a homegrown champion, which is probably a bug, I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to say that one's true. I'm just going to say it's true. I'm going to say we nailed that one because I need to get some of these right. And if I don't have the answer, it's better off saying I was right. Let's check this next one. Then we're going to do a voicemail. Number 7, there will be no war between the left and the right. I guess that's kind of true. There was no real war, but it got heated up a lot. There's a lot of heat between the left and the right. Is there still a center? Is there centrists? Do people even call themselves centrist? And would they be purple?
That is a good question.
Are centrist purple because it's a mix of red and blue?
Also, are they holding their breath because of all the left and right crap?
Possibly. Well, those were all very. We almost nailed like 50 of those. We got about 50% of those right. So I say we were definitely on a roll from last year. I would say that We definitely have psychics in the sewer. The Psychic Sewer Network is pretty damn good. Let's go to the voicemails. Let's see what we got. Looks like we have a holy crap, a bunch of them. Let's try this voicemail right here. Let's see if it even works. Oh, boy.
No. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How you doing? I'm going to tell you a quick little joke here. I live on farm. My chicken roosters, I was going to say, tell you fellers, you know what a rooster can do that a man can't do? He'll whistle to his pecker. Rooster can, man can't. And, you know what a whore can do? She can't say cock-a-doodle-doo. She say any cock-a-doo. That's about all I got for you tonight.
We just got a letter over here saying that's fake news. That chickens cannot whistle through their peckers. They have silent dicks. Let's try another voicemail. See what we got in the voicemail world. Let's see what we got over here.
Hello, Nick. This is your Uncle Theodore.
Uncle Theodore? That's it? That's all you got from me, Theo? You just got a, hi, this is your Uncle Theodore, bye? My family doesn't love me. Let's try another voicemail, and then we're going to go to some music, and then we'll be right back with more Nick the Rat Radio predictions of last year and predictions for this year. Going over last year's, they're not predictions anymore. Voicemail.
Your beep is not the same note as the beep of your actual phone. You sang the wrong key. That was the wrong thing to sing. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm feeling shame. I'm feeling the shame. I thought I did a pretty good beep. I thought my beep was pretty good in there. If you want to hear me do the beep noise, call 917-719-5923. And you could hear me beep. You could leave a voicemail now. The phone lines are not open